want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dog.
When you get a sec, check out my buddy Matthew Spear over there at the Dumb Show. Dumbshow.com. Get to see people like yours truly right here. Maybe that's a reason for you to not check it out. But check it out anyway. There's a lot of people better than me on there that a lot better stories. But check them out, dumbshow.com. Matt, take care, buddy. God bless you, everyone.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. We copacetic on Rumble there, Sweets?
Yes, finally. I've noticed it takes a little bit longer to load.
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing it, and you know, we'll see how it goes. And if the studio doesn't get much better, then we'll just, I don't know, skip it. Sorry. Sorry we're a little late. We're late for a couple of reasons. One is that we were trying to get a video for the show, and it took a little bit to achieve the process, number one. And number two is a lot of preparation has been going on for this. So I figure we'll just announce it right now. I'm going to be hosting the Dan Nunn Report on Rumble on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 for the immediate future. So you can see us over there from 4 to 6 on Tuesday, and then we will be continuing the Tuesday night show as well. So obviously that's going to be busy for us.
Busy day for you.
Yeah, we're not. Thank you. We're not going to be doing donations over on the Nunn Report, but we will be bouncing over here and doing the show. We're going to have plenty of guests. Dan's been having some struggles with his back and is not feeling the best. So we are going to step in and help him out along with some other podcasters to kind of supplement his time on his show and help him out. So we'll love to see you over there. You can come on over to Rumble and say hello, and we would love to hang out with you. So do that on Tuesdays between 4 and 6. Olivia won't be there. I'll be there. But I've already talked to Damani and TS and a bunch of other people who want to come on. And we're going to do that indefinitely until Dan's feeling better. Second, goals on the page, $300 tonight is what we're looking for. We're also going to do this spin. It's going to be a busy night. We're going to do something completely different. There is a sermon that you have to hear. And I don't care if you're religious. This show is not, although there's religious connotation in the discussion and in our values, myself, I don't always live up to the Christian ideals. And it, it's easy to have an excuse. Well, I'm a sinner, I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. And then all you say is you're a sinner. But the difference between me and other people is that most people understand that I don't, although I believe in God and although I attend church and although I do my best to be a good human being, a good Christian, there are certain things that I don't do. I don't wear a crucifix. I haven't joined the church that we go to, and I don't take communion. And although Olivia and the kids do, and Olivia and the kids are going to be joining the church, I don't, because I don't feel I am in a place yet where it wouldn't be hypocritical, especially with the things that I talk about on the show and the way I talk and communicate. I've got to be a better person before I feel that I can say I'm living the best life and the best version of myself. But that doesn't mean that I can't hold myself to a standard. It just means that I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. If that makes sense. So when we talk about God and we talk about religion, and we talk about Christianity, it's usually through the filter of, as a participant, as a believer, but as, of course, a sinner. We've talked about this topic for, this is probably one of the biggest topics we've ever talked about, which is the depreciating value of human life in our society and around the world. And whether it's from conception to death, the lines of delineation between the end of life and beginning of life are starting to become a standard of consistent attitudes that it's okay to abort a baby and it's okay to terminate a life at the end of somebody's life with assisted suicide. And we simply can't. We simply can't. As a world and as a country, there are so many countries that are in a deficit of having enough people to sustain their country from a financial, from a workload, from a reproductive standpoint, from a tax revenue standpoint. And let's face it, the people make the country. And when you see countries sitting at a 0.72 average, dwindling from a 1.31, I mean, no country in the history of mankind has ever recovered from a sub-1 birth rate. And there are several countries, including Japan, which are now there. And this sermon, I knew there was a reason why Pastor Jack Gill and I started, meeting and having a relationship. And I finally found out yesterday what it was. And there's been this courting period between us, and he came on the show and, talking, and I don't know, there's something that he's keeping alive and I'm trying to keep alive. And yesterday we found out what it was. Did you want to say a couple words without going into too much detail about the content about yesterday's sermon?
It was very moving and emotional. Hayden and I both cried. So I apologize if I cry again. But yeah, it was very powerful sermon. Yeah. And Hayden is pro-life. And when we say pro-life, there is zero wiggle room. Mm-hmm. Like, she is pro-life, even in rape. And we've sat there and we've had that conversation with her. And I'm like, Hayden. And she's like, just looking at me like, Dad, no, I will never have an abortion. And I don't care, even if it's for my life. If I'm going to die, if that baby has a chance to live, I'm going to have that baby, even if I die. And I'm just like, this isn't a kid talking. This is a woman who is matured to a point of that if we died, my son would have to go get some help, but my daughter would find a way. She would find a way to survive and work and keep growing. Go ahead. I wasn't going to say anything. I just said yes.
So her convictions are incredible, and she was extremely moved. So after the sermon, she goes in the bathroom and she's crying, and this other girl, comes out and goes like, "Why are you crying? Are you okay?" And she's like, "That sermon just moved me." And she's like, "Well, it made me mad." And Hayden's like, "I don't care." And the topic of abortion came up, and I've never seen it handled with such delicate hands. But of a very poignant message. And Olivia and I decided we have to show it to you tonight. But yes. we just don't have another option. We have to. And I'm going to forward it to The Blaze. I'm going to forward it to Turning Point. I'm going to forward it to CPAC. I'm going to forward it to YAF. I'm going to give it to Damani. I'm going to give it to every single person. Vince Colonnese. I'm going to give it to everybody. And I'm going to trim it, host it, put it up. And I believe that this is super special. So if it's okay with everybody, I'm going to hold off on spinning until after we do this. And it's not to keep you guys on. I'm not trying to con you. I don't feel comfortable doing that when I'm about to do this, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have heard all the stats from me. You've heard how Gen Z has literally, if nobody knows, nobody thinks put this way, but I'm going to give it to you, is that 1/3 of Gen Z is already dead. 1/3 of Gen Z, 33% of Gen Z is dead. And that is indicative and representative of, from 1997 to 2012, the amount of abortions that we've had. If that doesn't shock the living heck out of you, that will give you an idea about this video. So we're going to play it in its entirety. We hope that you comment. We hope that you participate. We hope that you have some things to say. And then we're going to get Jack on and we're going to have a conversation about it. Amy, I did not see. I just saw something about your mom. I'm so sorry to hear what I think I heard. I don't have the rundown. Do you?
Mom's got cancer.
Oh, gosh. I'm so
And
sorry.
if I'm not mistaken, it's Betty, right? Because she had a little crush on you.
Is Betty?
I think it was Betty. It was what her name.
Amy, I am so incredibly sorry to hear that. Is she available? Can we give her a call? Can we up her spirits or something? Betsy, that's right. It's Betsy.
I'm so sorry.
Can
I was close.
Can we give her a call? Or something? Maybe just call her live and say hi and tell her we're thinking about her. Let me know. Let me know what we can do. Whatever I can do to help. If she wants a photo or give her a call or whatever. I'll send her feet pics, whatever she wants.
Wrong listener.
Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Amy, I'm going to go ahead and start this video and we're going to watch it together. The first part is a very interesting interview that takes place where they're pulling aside Gen Zers. No feet pics. Yeah, I know that's not my thing. And this will kind of set the preface of the video and the sermon. So please enjoy this. Here we go with no further ado, because we're still going to do our full show. We might have a very long show. So please don't forget to donate. Please help us out. Let's get going.
Would you be surprised if I told you that 1/3 of Gen Z has already passed away?
Wow.
Oh. Could you guess what that cause is?
Gun violence? Yeah, I'd have to say gun violence, vehicular accidents.
Probably something to do with like social media, like mental health, maybe suicide.
Mental health issues.
Yeah, that's what came to mind first.
Do you mean like suicide? Or?
Yeah.
Suicide. Suicide?
I know there's a lot of mental health struggles, so maybe suicide.
Cancer? I'm gonna go with cancer. Maybe obesity, diabetes, or diseases in a sense, yeah. Poor healthcare, starvation.
What generation are you guys?
I think we're Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah.
What year were you born?
1999.
I think you made the cutoff for Gen Z.
Yeah.
Right. What if I told you that 1/3 of your generation, Gen Z, has actually already passed away?
I would believe that, actually.
What do you think it would be from?
Drug use? Drug use?
Like weed or something.
Drugs, alcohol.
Fentanyl. Drugs. Probably drug overdoses.
What if I told you that 1 in 3 members of Gen Z has been aborted?
Oh. That's, wow. I did not know that was like the leading cause.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I didn't even think about that.
That's not super surprising, though.
Would you be surprised if I told you that 1 in 3 members of Gen Z has actually been aborted? Does that surprise you at all?
Yes.
Yes?
Not really that surprising, because many young girls who get pregnant by accident abort their unborn babies, so it's not really that surprising to me.
Whether it's right or wrong, they're gonna make their choice and they'll live with it.
Or not live with it, I guess, if you're killed. But I'd be surprised if I told you it was through abortion.
Through abortion? Wow. You said 1 out of every 3?
Yeah.
Seems high.
No,
No, not really.
not.
I didn't think of that.
I did not think of that either. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought at all.
Think it'd be more, like 2 out of 3, or?
I honestly feel like yes.
I thought it would be lower.
Really?
The heck?
Lower. Definitely.
Significantly lower.
1 out of 3.
The majority of that 33% is through abortion.
No, 1/3 exclusively is abortion. All the other causes of death are on top of that.
Wow, okay, right, yeah, no, I wouldn't have picked that. Again, I don't believe that someone's...
You'd be surprised if I told you that 1/3 of Gen
Total
Z
of
has already
28% of all Gen Z deaths are from abortion. And if you take a look at the overall amount of abortions that have taken place since Roe v. Wade, in the dead of night, when men came in and attached it to the 14th Amendment and the right to privacy, makes no sense.
No.
Murder isn't legal in private. As there has been, and you'll hear this from my pastor, 63 million babies aborted. And what's hilarious is that during these statistics, when I was in, not the pews, we have seats, but where the congregation was, he was ready to cite these numbers, and I was rattling them all off.
Yeah, I heard you.
And I knew them all. And it's somewhere in this speech, you'll hear amen. And it's me. It's the first time I've ever said it that loud and been moved. And some people put their hands up and songs. I've never done any of that. But this was, I knew what he was going to do. And when we had our private conversation, that 3.5-hour conversation, we sat in his office and talked. He shared this story with me, and we both cried. And I shared him my most desperate and damaging moment in my life, and other things that I've never told a human being ever. And I simply said to him, you have to tell this story, and you have to do it on stage, and you have to do it in front of this congregation, because it's simply that important to see the humanity coming from you when people will look at you, not as a deity or a demigod or a prophet, but as a man of the cloth or a man of God, that somehow you are impervious to human suffering. And when I said that to him, this is what I wanted to see. Now, did I have anything to do with him doing this? Probably absolutely zero. And I believe he even said that he had planned on talking to the congregation when it annualized. So in no way, shape, or form do I take even a modicum of inspirational credit on this at all. It's just a matter of it was moving to me because I wanted him to do it. And when I saw the video, I knew what was coming. And it moved me beyond words. So here it is. And I want you to really take a moment and listen to what he has to say, because it's that important. Here it is in its entirety. Enjoy. even that alone just killed me, you know?
Yep.
You know, the church for many years has set aside, I think it's the third Sunday of the month, and January, to sort of as a marking based on Roe v. Wade, and to remember and to commemorate life and to continue to stand and to support it. Well, with Roe v. Wade now being overturned, the church at large, Christians, kind of agreed to set aside actually the 20th, whatever day that falls on, to commemorate it. And thus churches are often taking a Sunday service of their own choosing to pause and to remember and to think on this. We just all need to know something, that our commitment to life, it is not a political thing, though we may have to play in the political realm to speak out on it. And it's not just sentimental, though we do deeply feel about these things. At its core, our commitment comes from a biblical recognition of its importance. In fact, I would call it what has been referred to as the imago Dei. It is the image of God within every single human being. And that doesn't mean now that God has two hands, 2 feet, a head that looks exactly like us.
Folks, please share this out if you can to everybody, and they can turn it off after. Some people who sometimes are afraid to share because of language. I promise you this episode won't be one of those. So except for one video that we have, but not from me and not from Olivia. Please share this out. Please get this word. This is an amazing thing.
We don't really know exactly what God looks like, but we do know this, that within every human being is an aspect of the imago Dei, of God and a divine blueprint within us. And we live in a world that is deceiving because it has been deceived. And we're not going to base how we stand or where we are on merely how we feel. What are we going to do it on? We've got to do it on what does God say? How does God feel about this issue? And he calls us through his word to overcome the deceitfulness of the system within the world around us. And the world society is organized both without God, and thus it is naturally going to move against God. And its citizenship is concerned for the physical. It's concerned for the material and the temporal. And we get it, because as the Apostle Paul says, such were some of you. It's the way we all start in our thinking, against the image of God. And yet, when we come to know God, we make a transition, don't we? We leave that which is temporal and earthly and enter into that which is heavenly. And our concerns are seen in the context of what it is that God has to say about these things. So why are we going to address this issue at length today? I have preached on this before. You can go online, you can see it in the files. You know, it's there. Why would we do it again? And the reason we would do it again is because it's not only important to be reminded of this, but it's also because the cultural landscape continues to shift on this matter. And so even though Roe v. Wade may have been overturned, and those things are no longer held at the judicial federal level, at the same time, the spiritual reality and the hurdles have not left us. All they've done is they've just changed. And it's troubled me deeply in particular at how many Christians, people who claim to know Christ, are losing the biblical perspective on this issue. And it's now one that has morphed. It's jumped the moral levee from going to the end of, or going merely about the front of life, but it's now being discussed about the end of life as well. So we need to examine the issue biblically, especially as we continue to be a church that's going to move and progress through the 21st century, and examine how life needs to be considered from God's perspective, especially and even when those lives are not convenient. Now, before I go any further on this, I got to do something. Let me address the elephant in the room. I know for a fact that there are some of you that have gone through an abortion. I know for a fact that there are some of you that have encouraged an abortion through unplanned pregnancy or whatever the circumstances. And so you just need to know something. Even though we are talking about this, the goal today is not to take you and to shame you and to berate you and to fuss at you and to guilt you. That's not it at all. In fact, if anything, what we especially want you to know today is that we want this to be a safe place for you and anybody else who has gone or is going through this. It's vitally important. We all have to let the Lord be the Lord of our past. Amen. We got to let the Lord be the past for you as well as for ourselves. And that's how we want to be, a people that don't go around and make you feel under the condemnation of the past. There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Amen. And we stand on that and we rest upon it. And so if this is a part of your past, what we want to encourage you is to accept the grace that God has for you and extends unto you. And yet, we still need to talk about it. We can't let something like that cause us to say, well, how do we equip the generation that is around us currently and how they will go forward and how they will think about this biblically? And so we need everyone to know not only where we stand, but especially for those that are going through something like this. They need to know where we stand and how we will help them, how we will come alongside them. But it doesn't mean that we stay silent about the issue. We continue to move forward and speak for those who have no voice. Now I'm going to go kind of at a high level of the scriptures regarding this with you. And the biblical view, it's written all throughout Scripture. You'll find it just woven from the beginning unto the end. And the divine blueprint begins actually in the very first chapter of the very first book, and that's Genesis chapter 1 and verse 27, where God stated that he created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created him. So the dignity towards people is not going to be earned as a result of your health or what you contribute or your utility to our society. Dignity is bestowed by God at conception because every single human being is an image bearer of God, our Creator. Everyone. And no illness and no genetic dysfunction or problem or physical or mental issue is going to change that. We continue to look at the scriptures, moving through the weaving that we find, and we find in Psalm 139 God's view of how his work is incorporated into every single human being that has ever been made. And nobody, we learn, is going to be a random set of biological circumstances that just sort of bubble up and happen. In fact, in Psalm 139:13, it says, David speaking to God, "You formed my inward parts. You wove me in my mother's womb, and your eyes have seen my unshaped substance." And it shows that every life is an act of divine craftsmanship, that God is working. If you think of somebody like a weaver who's at a loom and they have a design, they not only want to make the fabric, they want to create a design within that. And so they begin by interspersing different colors of threads to generate a shape or a message or whatever it may happen to be. But then if I come along and if I pull out a single thread, I'm not just removing a string. I'm messing up with the master's design for that plan. And we're called to preserve that design. We're never called to destroy it. Later on, as you continue reading throughout the scriptures,
thank you, Joanne. Appreciate it. We're going to keep these short. Thank you so much.
We find that prophet was about to be assigned a very difficult task in his day. In fact, it's kind of interesting that today, if you're doing the Bible reading plan with us, today is the day you looked at Jeremiah chapter 1, which is what I'm about to reference here, and how God told that prophet something. He said, "Before I formed you in the innermost parts, I knew you. And before you came out of the womb, I set you apart. And I have given you as a prophet to the nations." So we find here God's plan for this prophet was even before he took his very first breath. We can say when he was just conceptual in the mind of God, God had a purpose for him, and God knew him, and he was set apart for it. Similarly, we find God presents the same perspective surrounding another man in your scriptures. His name was John the Baptist, where Luke records the words of the angel as saying this in Luke 1:15, "John will be filled with the Holy Spirit while yet in his mother's womb." And later, when Mary comes to Elizabeth, and both of them are pregnant, Mary's with Jesus, Elizabeth with John, we read in verse 41 that when Elizabeth, his mother, of whom John was in her womb, when Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the baby leaped in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit, saying, "When the sound of your greeting reached my ears, the baby leaped in my womb for joy." Now, I can't understand the degree of knowledge and awareness of a baby in a womb, but what I can walk away with when I see something like this is that the Spirit of God was already using this child before he left the inside of his mother's stomach. And it's interesting, too, to me, that in those situations, we find two people, Elizabeth, who was a woman who had already gone through menopause and now suddenly finds herself pregnant, and Mary, who's what we call a young teenager. And in both those circumstances within our culture, what would the counsel be? Save yourself, get rid of that child. And that's exactly the kind of person that God chose to work in and to present his message and to show this was something only he was capable of doing. And it gave a glory to God that he used in a mighty way. When we intentionally end a life in the womb, we're not just ending a biological process. We're silencing a voice, and we are terminating the potential of someone. Many times I've wondered, and just kind of thinking back on the number of people that have been terminated, I've wondered, might that have been the person that would have cured cancer in our day? Did we get rid of them before they could do a grand work? Or maybe they were somebody who could lead a nation in godliness and in goodness. Maybe they were somebody who could just bring a unique joy into a single family, someone who could bring peace. Now, when you think about the church at large, historically, it has been God's people in the church that have been what I'll call the rescue society for the vulnerable and the weak, particularly regarding widows, but also regarding children. In fact, in ancient Rome, it was the Christians who exercised the practice of going along the roadways, and whenever people didn't want to keep a child, they would leave them on the side of the road. The child would die of exposure. And it was the Christians who came along and found them and picked them up and brought them into their homes and into their churches to care for them. In the Industrial Revolution, it was the churches that fought against exploitive child labor. Often it was the churches that oversaw the orphanages within the societies. And today we see this continuing and this kind of support and help. Go to most crisis pregnancy centers and you will find them populated or being manned and helped and overseen by people that are affiliated deeply within the church. They are Christians. And although it's not exclusively, quite often what you'll find within the whole adoption spheres are Christians who go out and say, how can we take a life and bring them into our home and make that life better? Now let me put all this in perspective of what we're facing as a nation. Since 1973, and this is according to the Guttmacher Institute, who keeps track of this, they do it in conjunction with the CDC, but I think the CDC's numbers are lower because they don't track it as in-depth. But since 1973, 63 million children have been aborted. I can't even get my arms around that. Let me help you. If you take every child in America from birth to age 16, every single one of them, there is a missing person beside them. That's what we have done as a nation. It's 1 in 5 Americans today. 1 out of 5. And this is because our culture prizes pragmatism and convenience in the name of personal autonomy. And we only really want to take on what is useful and easy and enjoyable or the least difficult option. But we have to remember something. God prizes the person. And it's over the pragmatism and the practicality. In the 21st century, it's a day in which we've got all kinds of technological marvels, don't we? And particularly regarding babies. I was blown away when our first grandchild got a sonogram and we could see her face in detail. It's like she was right in front of us. And that's a blessing. But in some other ways, it's kind of hard because now we can determine if there's a genetic issue or if there's a problem inside the womb before the child is born, which means Down syndrome and issues like that are found early. As are other genetic issues. And as a result, there's a lot of people that are choosing to abort that child when they find that news. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not right, and that is not just. In fact, if anything, God often uses children like that to change you and to change your worldview. We have a very good friend who, he and his wife, they couldn't have children for a while. They finally got pregnant. When they did, they found out they were going to have a little girl, but she had Down syndrome. They were devastated. Time went on, they had the child, and they grew, and they have loved that child. No longer are they devastated at all. In fact, they've since had more children along the way. But over here in a conversation with this guy, when he was talking with somebody, he goes, people tell you you're not supposed to have a favorite child, but our little girl really is our favorite. And his wife hits him, you can't say that. And he goes, I know I can't, but it's true. She is my favorite. And they have a way of, it's just part of God's unique grace in letting us see his imprint on every single human. We had another friend who had a couple of children that had Down syndrome that they had adopted.
Thank you so much, Amy. $21.10. Olivia, send you mom's pick because she's sleeping but loves everyone. Thank you.
Sure.
God has given him such a unique grace, and that grace spills over into our lives. And we get to experience and see the world through his lens. And he is so optimistic, and he's such a blessing, and he infects us with all of that. Too many in the world would remove the chance to experience that unique gift that God has for them because these children are aborted. When I say that, I am not dismissing the hardship and the level of difficulty that the parents have to deal with. It is hard. It is difficult. But all this does remind me that God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called. He will take care of them. And by the way, this is where you and I, as the church, these are the kinds of areas that we can step up in our level of ministry and the helps that we can provide. Whether it's babysitting for people that are struggling with this, resources, helps. We can grow in how we continue to help families that God brings our way. And then we begin to look into various ways that we can adjust and take on new ministries. We've done this before. A number of years back, we had sort of a repeat pattern, which we would take a team of people, and they were usually youth, and we would take them to Johnny and Friends. Johnny and Friends is an organization that helps people think about how they can take care of folks that have disabilities within their church, and that's of all age range and all types. And so as a result, they would come back, and they would...
Folks, asking a favor, we could please throw some likes on this. We have a ton of people watching. Would love to see you guys hit the like button and share this by the person who put an angry face up. Yeah, we'll pray for you.
Equipped in all these different ways and these different levels. By the way, that's another shameless plug for that van, because we can take that tool and use it and continue to take folks up and to get them equipped together so they can come back and make us better at how we can embrace and love everybody who comes in our doors, and the difficulties and the unique issues that they face because of their difficulties. And some of you, I already know this is a passion, all right? You've already been doing this. God placed this holy burden on your heart. And it could very well be that 2026 might be the year that God uses you with us to a whole different level and a whole different degree of how we can be a blessing like this to both Christians who are going through these hardships and non-Christians who might come inside our doors. It was when our son and his wife found out that they were going to have a son. And
really appreciate it if everyone had a chance. If you're kind of doing something else or check, this is the part that I'd really like you to listen to. Please, thanks.
He was going to be born with a condition called anencephaly. What that means is you are born without a skull, and thus in the development, the child will not have a brain. But the child will have a brain stem. And what that means is everything happens normally within the womb. Brainstem controls the heartbeat. Brainstem controls the breathing. And when they found out, they sat down with the doctor, and the doctor, this was on a Friday, and the doctor was talking with them. And the doctor said, here's your issue. You have to think of your baby as being on life support in the womb. And the minute this child is born, life support will have been removed. And it will be hours, maybe days, but more likely hours or minutes that he will survive. And that rocked their world. That rocked our world. That rocked the Gregory's world, all of us, because we were all a part of it. And if my first thought was, oh my goodness, this is a walking death, and there can't be any joy in this journey at all. The doctor said on a Friday, if you want to remove this child from life support, I'll do it on Monday, but you got to tell me on Monday. And so they came home, And they talked, and they got counsel. They called us. And in all humility, let me tell you something. Up to that point, I feel like I always had an answer, gentle, tactful. I always had an answer about the stance on abortion. This one completely perplexed me because I began to think, no, wait a minute. This is an individual that doesn't even have a brain. At what point are you a person? And where does the spirit and the soul reside? You know, if part of faith is the decision that requires the mind, how does all this work? And I'm just asking all these questions, and I'm getting counsel on how to help them. And they're getting counsel from their churches on how do we think about this and what do we do? And here's what we all learned as a result of this, that question could not be answered by the pragmatic, and it couldn't be answered by the physiological, no matter what the circumstance. This was a child that was made in the image of God. And God was going to be the one to determine the length of his days. And they said, it's not going to be us. And little Isaac was born. He was. And we got to hold him. And we loved him for 12 hours. And then he slipped into eternity. I'm so glad that little boy was born. So glad. In a 12-hour experience, that little boy changed my life more than some people that have 9 decades of life. Changed us. He impacted me. And it wasn't because of anything he did. It's because God used him, which is what God can do. God can use the broken, God can use the simple, God can use the downtrodden, God can use the blind, which he was, God will use the deaf, which he was, and even the unconscious. And even though that little boy never uttered one single word, God used him. The issue, ladies and gentlemen, is not theoretical to me. I feel like at times it has been, but it's not philosophical, and it's not merely one based on principle. God, through Isaac, enabled me to see something that only God can do, and to understand this at an entirely different level in terms of his creation and what it creates value in an individual. And ours is a day in which when people view life, I don't mean this to sound crass, but a lot of times we view it a little bit like an entertainment subscription. If it costs too much and doesn't provide what we like, we will just cancel it and we'll let it go. And God's view on life is like a piece of fine art. That sometimes you'll take a piece of art and if something happens to it, it becomes broken, it becomes chipped, it becomes marred. If anything, it might become more valuable within the entirety of the gallery that you've got there. And the issue of life isn't just about the front end of life anymore. Not just about the children. It's moved to the aged near the end of life, and the sick and the elderly and the infirm. I don't know if you know this or not, but if we've got, I think it was 16 states that are approving legislation that allows for suicide at the end of life. And they've adopted these laws. And of course, when they do this, they explain the parameters and say, well, it's going to be controlled, and it's only going to be in these circumstances, and it's only going to be under these conditions.
Yeah, so is
the problem
abortion.
with that is it never ends there. Those terms become suddenly vague all of a sudden. And you start talking about physical limitations, then it moves to, are they mental limitations? And then it just morphs into who knows what over time. And then you open that door, and then it begins to become a little bit more expansive over time. And it all starts in the name of autonomy. Everyone ought to be able to decide for themselves what they're going to do, and whether or not you want to die. But it rarely stays there over time. Rarely. Now, I am not a prophet, and I don't claim to be. But I can tell you this. I'm going to say I won't be surprised if in 20 years, 30 years, there are going to be a lot of millennials in this world, and there's going to be a lot of Gen Zers who are going to look back on this time, and they're going to realize other people are going to make the decision of whether or not they continue in life or not. Because now they're a drain on the healthcare system. And with a decreasing population, with a decreasing number of people that are going to be able to care for them, there will be a stronger temptation to just say, let's just make them comfortable and let them go. And society will be accustomed to it, just like we did by having abortion for 5 decades. And all of a sudden, people say, I should be able to have this. Folks, when you let that genie out of the bottle, it is hard to get it back in culturally. All this brings me to the big idea of what it is where I'm trying to communicate here. And that is human worth isn't earned by what we do, but it's given by the one who's made us. So as we are a people that are entering into this 21st, or progressing through the 21st century, what is it that we can do for those that have no voice, or in some cases are losing their voice? My first thoughts whenever I think about these, or I hear a sermon like this, as I go, look, we're a church of about, 330 people, 350 people. What can we do? You know, we're not going to change the whole landscape politically. We're not going to be able to make all this huge difference. Can we even make a difference in the world? And if you're asking that question, I'm glad you asked. Because I got some things I think that we can think about. And I think that we can do a whole lot more than what you might realize.
If you think this man is familiar to you, I want you to reflect on how. He reminds me of two people. The first person is my science teacher in high school named Mr. Churchill. And certainly a little bit of the look, a little bit of the demeanor, but Mr. Churchill was a very plain speaker in very direct, in more colorful metaphors. I think the most damning thing I've heard Pastor Gill say is goodness. And he said it in a way that I was like, "Ooh, Pastor, stop. It's salacious." He just has that demeanor. And the second person he reminds me of is Ray Fiennes.
Oh, I see that a little bit.
And that's a good thing, because I find him to be an amazing orator and one of the only Englishmen that I can stand listening to without, they sound like a snooty, pompous tea drinker. But those are the two that he reminds me of. And that, to me, I will tell you, the only thing you need to know about this man is that he can't take a compliment to save his life. He's horrible at it. And it's not that he repudiates it. It makes him visibly uncomfortable. Now, he might be here and go, "Matt, why would you say that about it?" Well, because I've complimented him, and I've been direct with him, and I've seen his reaction. And it's not false. It's not a false bravado. It's not arrogance. It's modesty and affability. And he will always turn it around and make it about you. And I think about the donation we gave him, and, that night when everyone pitched in, and how the gifts that we gave him, how ultimately he was very, very modest upon receiving them. And that's something that I admire. And there's very few people in my life I look up to. The ones that I do are worth looking up to. So I figured I would just chime in real quick, give everyone a second to kind of get their thoughts before we continue in the final 10 minutes, which really lay out what you can do as Christians, what you can do as non-Christians, what you can do as Republicans, what you can do as Trump supporters, what you can do as a white person or a black person or gay or straight or Muslim or Jew. It doesn't matter. We all have the responsibility of ensuring that human life continues by the utmost priority. And I think there's some very interesting things here to lay that out. And here they are.
First, we need to do what we're doing today, and that is we need to teach on this biblically. When you disciple people, you need to cover this with them. You need to highlight this, both within the church, but we need to be doing this as well as outside the church. Now, we may not convince hardly anybody on society on our view, but at least they'll understand why.
Kimberly Jergemeyer donated $10. I want you to know that you are appreciated more than the simple words typed here. Thank you for sharing this precious story. You are most assuredly welcome.
And that's oftentimes a first step that God can use to open people's eyes on the why. And for those within the church, we got to be careful. We want to be a people that have empathy for others and sympathy for their situation. And we have to balance that with not allowing our empathy to be manipulated into embracing or saying or doing things that are actually not biblical, but they're in the name of the way the culture would have us express our sympathy and our empathy. And that's why it's important that we need to know what God says and why he says it, so that they will know what to do, this next generation, because the culture of death, and it is a culture of death and mindset and philosophy, the culture of death continues to grow and it continues to morph over time. In fact, today, you don't have to go to a clinic for an abortion. You can get a pill in the mail. The problem with that, in addition to everything else that I've talked about, is we don't fully know the effect that these pills will have on the women who might take them. So drug companies are eager to get them out because, hey, it's money. And quite often, a lot of times, this thing is driven by money, what's fiscally prudent or helpful to us. But there's going to be a lot of damage and there's going to be a lot of carnage that comes. And these things are just, it continues to change. It continues to change. And that leads us to the second thing that we can do. And I do not say this lightly, and I do not say this as a statement sort of like, well, yeah, you're the church, you got to say that. But the next thing is we got to pray. We got to pray for our leaders in particular, in the government and the nation. We got to pray for the organizations that are stepping up to help in this sort of matter. But as I said before, it's left the federal judicial sphere, and now it's moved into the states. And now the state legislatures are making a ruling on where they're going to land on this. And let's pray that God would work in both the federal as well as the state leaders, and that they would use the influence that we've entrusted to them with our vote, that they would use that to give a voice for the people that have none. Third thing we can do, and that is we need to grow in the ways in which we can help and keep our eyes open for the opportunities that God gives us in this upcoming year. We can do more than merely speak, although speaking is important, but there's things that we can do. And so whether it's supporting families, whether it is coming alongside crisis pregnancy centers, and I already know for a fact a lot of you are already doing these kinds of things. But then there's helping mothers that you meet and you know that are in crisis and are desperate. Or maybe for some of you, it's just helping a neighbor who's all of a sudden found themselves in a very desperate plight. Or a family member who's all of a sudden desperate and doesn't know what to do. There's several good organizations we can come alongside, we can partner that are making a difference, and we can aid them. And then on top of that, there's this other thing going on called adoptions. When you look at the history of our church and you go through, you would be blown away at the number of people within our congregation over the years that have adopted. So many people have done so. We have seen the blessing, and it has been a blessing. Is it easy? No. Is it cheap? No. It is expensive. So while not everyone will be called upon by God to adopt a child, God can use us to come alongside those that he has used to call, and we can help them, both in coming alongside them in terms of relationship and providing just daily helps, but we can also do it financially. And that's another matter we can do. We can dedicate our finances towards this. I don't know if you realize this, but adoption today can easily cost $55,000 for one. That's more than what we're going to be doing for a van fundraiser. And that's just for one child. And I know a lot of people have asked, is one kid worth $55,000? Nobody would say that out loud, but they think it. Is one kid worth it? Let me challenge your thinking. Take the long view. Barring the return of Christ, that child comes into a Christian home and begins to follow after the Lord Jesus, and then begins to go and live out his or her life, influencing the people that he or she encounters throughout that life. Sociologists estimate that a person who lives to be 70 will encounter, and it's a wide swath, as few as 10,000 or 80,000 people in their lifetime. And that one individual.
Did that not strike you when you heard that we do that a day?
That was my thought, is we touched more than that.
A day. And to me, like, that was humbling, you know? And I don't think he was talking, you know, you always think that every time we go to his church, we always go, oh, he's talking to us. But in that one, I was talking to myself.
That's just an average person.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, why are we here? What are we doing? Why this pathway? Why are we all on it? It happened so quickly. I don't think we've ever done anything so quickly in our life, except for you completely falling in love with me and thinking I was the greatest looking guy on the earth. That was quick. That was
fell in love with me first.
Whatever. That was like seconds. Whatever, please. I was on the phone with another woman when I met you.
You fell in love with me.
I was on the phone with another woman when I was talking to you.
Saw a picture of me and fell in love with the picture.
Aunt Jackie. So anyway, but you get the point. I mean, that's like the fastest thing we've ever done. So it's an interesting thing. We may not, 80,000 people don't watch the show, but they touch the memes. They listen to the podcast. So every day, I mean, we're influencing, 100 million to 149 million people a month. That's more than 80,000 a day.
Yep.
That's like 350, 375,000 a day. That's incredible. So something to think about, right? It's just something to mull over. Here's the rest.
Is going to touch every single one of those lives. We got to take the long view and what God can do with the individuals. Finally, this whole issue should move us to use the stewardship of our voice when it comes to our vote for our leaders. Not every country gets to vote. We do. And that's stewardship. And we need to think about it. We need to examine not only what the candidate says, but what does the platform say regarding life? Where are they going with this? And whether or not they're going to support it. And I don't just mean the front of life. I'm talking also in the back of life. We got to look at both. And we can call our legislators and we can call our executive leaders to action and let them know where we stand on this and how they legislate and how they execute the liberty and the life of those who have no voice. Because we're all going to agree to this. Elections have consequences. They always do. God is sovereign over them, but they have consequences. And a candidate or a platform that claims to uphold the life and the liberty of its citizens but will not stand for life on these two most vulnerable age groups, folks, that is like being a lighthouse that only works from 9 to 5 on a sunny day.
Amen.
You can say you're working, but you're not taking care of the ones who need you the most. And by the way, let's all understand this. You cannot put your trust in the government. You can't do it.
Yeah, to have a pastor that is politically in line with you is so cool. Can I just tell you that when he's like, don't trust the government, I'm over here going, yes. Yeah. I mean, I felt I was a Baptist. I almost got up several times, amen, hallelujah. You have a witness, because so many things were just like absolute, like the fact that you're a politician and your job is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and it starts with life, and you don't protect life, you should be disqualified from representing people when your number one sole contribution to your political stance is murder. The murder of innocents. It's profound.
Give us permission to not vote.
Hey, I want to thank the 160 plus that are on, and then another 40 on Rumble. 200 plus watching this. Obviously, this is great content. We appreciate you guys watching this. Please continue to do so. Remember, we do have a donation night too. This doesn't go directly to the church because we have and we will give to the church. We always do every single month. But this is to keep our show going. We have a full show after this, but it's that important. We only have a few more minutes of this, so please do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.
Knowledgeably. Now, all candidates and all platforms are going to get some things wrong at times. They just are. And they'll execute things wrongly at times. We're not going to make excuses for that. They still need to be called to account for all things and to fix them. But on this matter, our nation continues to experience a national Holocaust. 63 million. When our leaders mess this up and support abortion or suicide, here's what I know about that nation. Its days are numbered. God will bring a judgment on a nation like that. So hopefully by now you'll understand a little bit better, a little bit more of why we devote an entire sermon again towards a topic like this. These abortions after Roe v. Wade, they didn't diminish. They increased in 2023. Went from 800,000 one year to over 1 million. And so the fight for life is busier and it's more vocal than ever. And so we might not be able to change the nation, but we can impact whatever spheres God has placed us in that moment. And this is why it's important as we look ahead as a church entering into a new year.
He is a shepherd, Matt, not a preacher. Actually, he identified himself earlier, if you were listening, that he does preach. So therefore, he is a preacher. It's an adjective of the act of preaching. He's also a pastor. He's also a shepherd. He is also a father. He is also a veteran. He's
a grandfather.
He's a grandfather. He's many of things. A preacher is not a negative connotation. I don't want to get that granular. The man is preaching.
2026, because within it, we find not just the heartbeat of a child made in the image of God, but within this, you find the heartbeat of the gospel. You realize that? You see, when we serve a God who didn't just talk about the value of life, he became life. He entered into the womb of a teenage girl who lived in poverty and came in and lived amongst us. And yet equally, and just as importantly, we see the gospel in light of the brokenness of the world. The world looks at a child with a disability, or at a home that is destitute, or a person at the end of life, and this is what they ask: what can they do for us? God,
thank you so much, Charity. $10. Glad you shared Pastor Gill with us tonight. No problem. You'll like the rest of the show too. Thank you.
Broken, blind, deaf, unable to contribute anything to his kingdom, and he did not abort us. Instead, he didn't see us as an inconvenient drain on his resources. Rather, he gave his own life up so that we might have ours. And the good news of the gospel is that God says, what will I do for them? Jesus was broken on the cross so that the broken could be made whole. So whether you're a parent of a special needs child, someone carrying the weight of a past abortion, or maybe just like all of us, an average person who looks back on your life and you see all the carnage and problems and issues and things and dysfunction that you have brought into the world, God's message of the gospel says that your value and your worth isn't earned by what you do. It's given by the one who made us. And I'll add on to this, and the one who died to save us. God's view of your value is shown by the fact that you are bought with a price and that the blood of Jesus Christ cleanses us from all our sin. And now, because Jesus lives, every life, no matter how short, no matter how quiet, no matter how perceivingly inconvenient, is an eternal treasure. Would you stand with me?
You know, and I think one of the best things that people may have missed is he was talking about Mary and the Virgin Mary. And there were 2 women who were blessed with children. Is this not true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Elizabeth was old and had already gone through menopause.
And who was that child? He graced her with a baby, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that might have been John the Baptist. I think it
was too.
But I'm not sure.
No,
I need to refresh my memory on the.
It's immaterial, but it does correlate to the story where we started the story with youth and inexplicable inconvenience of destroying youth, and then an aged person who was who had a broken womb, was able to reproduce due to age, was gifted life. So God used youth and elderly to create and conceive the gift of life, and to carry one of the most important lives ever in the history of mankind. And it really tells you that whether it's suicide or whether it's abortion, both are repudiated by God, not just as murder, but by his own action in his own hand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's impossible to live like God, but we can live vicariously through God's word, and his word and his actions are clearly defined. So even if you don't believe in God and you repudiate God and you're not a Christian, you can still find the value of the story of why life is important and all life has value. Now, some comments have been made in the chat, which I try to ignore because the negativity just, it's like, you know, it would be like someone coming up and going, you know, look at, this is my project and I made this, it's my hobby and I painted it and I sanded it, and people are like, well, that sucks. Or, well, that doesn't look hard. And you're like, you know, I'm trying to share something with you, you know, and I'm not trying to have thin skin, but, you know, even if you disagree with religion, even if you disagree with theology, you can at least appreciate the message, right? And one of the comments is that human life really isn't precious because we're the only ones that find it to be of value. Well, I certainly disagree with that, because I've seen the way a young lioness has treated her cubs. And although a male lion may kill the cubs and not have that respect and fondness of life, they also don't have a soul, and they also don't have a conscience, and they don't have the capability of understanding right and wrong. And either did we at a time. And you have to understand that the complexity of what we've learned and who we've become, we have the ability to follow God's word and be amazing human beings and loving and nurturing and caring, yet we still repudiate life, and we still abort life, and we still allow drugs to enter neighborhoods, and we still violate other women who are married and the sanctity of marriage, and we murder in the name of our government and with wars. Are we that different from a lion? Are we that different from the lioness? Are we animals? So something has to create that moral fabric and that moral code. Otherwise, we're just animalistic. And the Old Testament talks about this, and it expresses of how unknowing we were and how burdened we were with sin, and we were punished. And God had to teach us morality and understanding and how to live cohesively. Well, that's a moral code. And if anything is true, we find our morality through God, because that is what our morals are based off of. That's what the Declaration of Independence, that's what the Constitution of the United States, that's what the Bill of Rights is based on, a moral code that was founded under Judeo-Christian ethics. So even if you are not godly, even if you are not religious, it still impacts you, because morality is defined through that. And don't you think you should know that? Don't you think you should understand that? So when we make the comment that not all life is precious, you're right, not all life is precious. And it's certainly not precious to humans either by the way you equate it. That's why this is so important. That's why we have to separate ourselves from the animal kingdom. That's why we have to understand, because we have the capability. But if you think that lioness who has drowning cubs doesn't understand the dangers of their cub falling in the water, or hyenas on the prowl, then you wouldn't see the pride come together to fight off a pack of hyenas, even though it's certain death if they get bit or struck by these groups. You wouldn't see elephants run around in circles and protect their calf. You wouldn't see it from the foxes that live outside my home that protect and play and frolic in the fields with their pups. But when a larger coyote comes, they scramble and hide, and mom always is at the front of the hole. So when we say not all life is precious, I think that's a very sardonic and negative way to see the world. Because I think it's only true through a certain lens. And it's the way you look at it. That's my belief. What do you think?
Yeah, well, what I was going to say on the sermon is, ironically, I don't know if it was Saturday, if it was earlier in the week, we had this conversation with the kids out of the blue about abortion, not even knowing what the sermon was going to be this week. So we had that. So interesting enough. But we kind of, I'll make it short, but we kind of had our own little possibility of abortion when we were pregnant with Hayden. She was what is called a 2-vessel baby. There's 3 blood vessels in the umbilical cord. 1 that lets waste out, and 2 that brings in oxygen and food and nutrients and everything to the baby. One of the vessels going in collapsed. So she only had 2 blood vessels in the umbilical cord. So when we found that out, they gave us the speech. This can cause mental retardation, spina bifida, Down syndrome. I mean, a litany of issues can go wrong with the baby. We got the genetic testing done. I had a crap ton of blood tests done, and we filled out a bunch of questionnaires about family history. And the doctor sat us down and gave us our options of, you can abort the child if you want to. And of course, the answer was immediately no, it wasn't. That was not even an option. But it's the fact that just because there could be something wrong with the baby, the doctors have to share that with their patients. Because if they don't, and you get a family that found out that the doctors knew and didn't want to have a baby like this, they can sue the doctors. And it's just sad that that is out there.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would never have aborted her, but I mean, look at Hayden now. I mean,
no.
Oh my God. So, I mean,
there's times we want to kill her.
Yeah, there are definitely times that I want to kill her, but
but that's just
that's just being a teenage girl.
We talk ourselves out of we talk ourselves out of it most nights. Listen, we have more to go. We have a ton to do, and we're going to get to it, and we've got to. Folks, right now, $51.10 donations is where we're at. We're going to have to flip that switch because we got 40 minutes to go and a long way to get there. We are talking about animals. The human beings are animals. We're part of the animal kingdom, but there is separation. If you want to compare human beings to animals, then that's like comparing See Spot Run to the full series of Encyclopedia Britannica. You're not comparing the separation of the smartest animal and the dumbest human being. It is still light years away. And cognitive abilities are what separates us, and cultural standards. So if we're going to say, well, we're all animals, so therefore, there's no good or bad. It's based upon the overall individual animal and its life and its success to decide what's good and what's bad. To me, I couldn't disagree more, because you may see things in the animal kingdom like pecking order for food, or weight distribution decides success at the youth of who fattens up the biggest and fattest usually stays in the nest. You don't see those behaviors from us. And when you do, they're called out and repudiated. That's my point. You don't see another, sparrow or swallow chime in and go, why are you throwing that younger, smaller, more frail one out of the nest? I understand we may do something that is similar to that by abortion, but you have people who are standing up who disagree with it vehemently, as you do people who agree with it. And that's the difference between us and animals, is that we have evolved in a state, at a primordial and primate type state, which we were. And anyone who can't make the lines of delineation between primates and us, those are also people who I would say you need to read science as much as you read the Bible. And saying that we did or did not come from that, I think you need to understand is that there was a point, whether it was Cro-Magnon or, in the Neanderthal period, where the human mind, the human body, the human capabilities, the human functionality was not even remotely close as it was today, which means that we're learning agile. We have the ability to learn leaning out. And if you have that capability now, but didn't then, what has changed? And I will once again stand on this pulpit and die on this hill that morality, that Christian morality, is what ultimately differentiates us or Orthodox or Presbyterian or even Muslim. I mean, all religion has laws. All religion has some more moral code to it. Some are better than others. But the point is that in fact, all societies at some point or another move towards some sort of theocratic morality. And that can't be simply nuance. You have to understand that some of these nations have been around for thousands upon thousands of years and others hundreds. Yet they still reach the same destination, and word didn't necessarily travel by boat and the pilgrims. And the Native Americans had their established belief system long before Christians entered the fray. The Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incans and the Omegas, they all had theirs too. So, can you stop doing that?
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, just stop touching it, because you're screwing it up. What are you doing?
I had to. Mine completely froze. I had to shut it down.
That's okay. Just don't screw with it, because you can just you can crash us. Just leave it. I've tried to tell you you have to have all those windows closed, but you won't listen to me. So those windows have to go away. You need to pop windows out. You have too many windows open for what your Mac can and can't do. It can't stream that. So you gotta shut down some windows. But you won't do it, and you're gonna crash us. So anyway, it's an interesting. We were created. Once again, I'm not here to get into biblical conversations with people. I'm not here to debate theology. I'm not here to debate the Word of God. You have the right to believe whatever you want. I will not repudiate science in the presence of God, and I certainly will not repudiate God in the presence of science. There is a very distinct possibility that both have a lot of truths in it and some falsehoods in it. And I think that's completely understandable from God, who conveyed things through prophets and disciples, and the word was translated by man and therefore fallible. And if anyone believes in science that they can understand God and everything that he does and everything he created, you're also completely missing the mark. So I think there's a healthy level of science and theology that can live harmoniously. And I don't believe this is the Bloods and the Crips and the Republicans and the Democrats in black and white. I think if we could just simply embrace science and religion at the same time, a lot of this crap that we have going on in our heads and this conflict would disappear. And that doesn't mean you have to believe in evolution. But you don't have to repudiate everything in science simply because you believe in God. This is where my father made the mistake when he was a Christian Science person and repudiated medical treatment, and which is just stupid. It's just the dumbest thing ever. If everything on earth is from God and we have the ability for a heart transplant or we have the ability to take an aspirin, you could certainly change your outlook on writings that were never in the Bible to begin with. So I want us to try to change the confines of our brain, but that's a whole other show. Anything else you want to chime on that?
No.
Okay, you're not lagging anymore?
No, I don't know what happened.
Well,
it just does it every once in a while.
You have a lot of windows up. Well, what we need to do is we need to upgrade your computer at some point, because it was a base model Mac. I really didn't know it was going to be doing all this.
Yeah. I don't think we did either.
But there's a lot of options. All right, so let's move on. We've got a whole bunch to do. Any other donations, honey? Because we're in the thick of it now.
One.
We're going to put on goal. And Mike Roch 1234. Thank you, Mike. That's fair. Don't know if it's right, but I heard religion is to prove science and science is to prove religion, huh? No, I don't think if you fundamentally only believe in God, then science will be repudiated and disproven in your eyes. If you only believe in science, scratch that. If you only believe in God, scratch that. If you only believe in science, then God is repudiated and everything he has to say. Because if God doesn't exist, then everything that's said about God is not correct. And I think that is very, very naive. Just as much as I think that if you think only God is the answer to everything, and there can be no other answer, every single ant, every single leaf, every single microbe, every single virus is here from God, well then the evil in the world and the mistakes that take place, then Satan has no influence. So there is no bad. There's no good and evil. The dichotomy is no longer there. Then you have to admit that not everything is in God's control. And it may be a part of his plan. But even the pastor said it when he was talking about how God is sovereign. But he doesn't, not every election is decided by God. It's decided by the people too. We have free will. So my point is that if there's inconsistencies in the Bible that can't be explained by the word of God, and there's inconsistency in science that can't be, that prove that God isn't a part of it, then they don't live succinctly together to disprove or prove the other. They can live harmoniously and just be used to get to an answer that is more fundamentally and scientifically or theologically correct. Because if you can't find it in God, you can't find it in science, then you have to ask yourself the question, where is it? And that's God territory. The unknown is God territory. And I think we spend a lot of time trying to prove it with science. Like Neil Tyson deGrasse is to simply say, if it can't be proven in science, then it doesn't exist, which is absolutely ridiculous and untrue. Because you still can't describe and explain to me how the universe started. So if you can't do that, then guess what? You can say a Big Bang, but let's go before that. And let's go 16.2 billion years and go before that, and before that, and before that, and before that. And what are the confines of space? And what is confines of the universe? Okay, tell me where it's at. Well, I can't conceptualize it. Well, if you can't conceptualize it, then you don't know it's there. And if you don't know it's there, then what? It doesn't exist. Don't you understand? So even science disproves itself on a long enough scale and a long enough timeline. The further and further you get out from where we are, there are things that are unexplained. There's things that are incomprehensible, and therefore you don't know. And if you don't know, then it doesn't exist according to science. And that is where God lives. That's my opinion. I wanted to do this real quick. This is Sue Boland's uncle. Lost James Boland earned a master's degree from Marshall University. He was preceded to death by his first wife, Nancy Browning Boland, second wife, Billie Jean Boland, and several brothers and sisters. He's survived by his wife, Beverly Lynn Lambert Boland, of 53, two daughters, Betty Workman, Dion Lesage, and Jennifer L. Boland, Austin Kingery. Oh, these are so long. I can't even do this. But I will tell you, Semper Fi and Godspeed, and it's always a shame to see a Marine fall, whether in battle or just due to complications or long life. And this person most certainly had a great life. 65 plus 26. 91? Yeah. 91 years old. Mm-hmm. That is a very full life and an amazing life. So yes. Congratulations, sir, on living an amazing life. And I'm certainly sorry, Sue, for your loss. Moving on to another video. Border Patrol. We've seen these massive conflictions going on in Minnesota and everywhere else around the United States. Mm-hmm. This one was kind of nice. You forwarded this to me, I believe, which was the hugs Border Patrol video. Just say you did. Sure, great. I love this video. Thanks for forwarding it to me. Here it is.
You're very welcome. Oh, I did. Yes, that's right.
No, I mean, I would let you.
I don't mind.
You could hug me. I would embrace it if you would hug me.
I will. Come over.
I can't go that way.
I do.
So.
We have a heart. You know what I mean? You signed to become a soldier.
I did.
Right? The purpose of the soldier is to go to war, right?
Right, and I wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. We are Border Patrol. You see, that is, the mission was it. So I understand because I was in the Air Force, right? Signed for that too, when I was a soldier. An airman, right?
But my point is, you're in the military, especially the Army or the Marines.
Yeah, not the Air Force.
Not the Air Force, the fly boys. If you'd been a Marine, I would have brought some crayons. No. Listen.
I love you. I love you. I want to hug you.
You can't do that.
Oh, no. I
So, like, there was a time like, why do we have to argue about everything? Why does everyone have to be so, it's my way or the highway, and I'm right, you're wrong, and this is the way it has to be? It's like, before we even get to decide something, the lines are already drawn. Like, before this whole Renee Good shooting took place, like, it was already separated. People were like, this is the side for the right, this is the side for the left. You cannot explore the middle. If you do explore the middle, then you're a traitor to the cause. What the hell, Liv?
People have lost how to understand and have empathy for other people. They are in their own little world, and they've been taught and told their whole life that you're what matters. This is your bubble.
Yeah.
What's inside your bubble matters. Nothing else matters. And so they've taken that to the extreme of the world should follow what I want, and anyone who's not in my purview is wrong.
Like, it is like when we broke down the Renee Good shooting,
Mm-hmm.
I honestly said, I don't know if I would have made that shot. Certainly not from the side. I specifically said I wouldn't do that. The frontal shot, more than likely, yes, but not the side.
Mm-hmm.
And
Once you've already shot her once.
Yeah. And my thoughts is that's exactly what liberals, they're saying a lot of other shit. Like, she was doing a 4-point turn and she was trying to turn the complete lies. But the one argument that they are making is that he probably should not have fired when she was on the side and gone. There was nobody in threat. There were parked cars. I don't know if I would have made that shot. But once again, I'm not condemning him. I'm just saying, and if you say that, everyone's like, oh, you're a lefty. Wait a second. Now slow down. There are people who are Republicans who, are like, this should have happened every single day of the week, and there's no exceptions, and there's no investigation, and this is the way it is. And then you got the people on the left who are like, she's innocent, she did nothing wrong, he's a murderer. And I'm like, what the? Can't you guys just slow down and see multiple viewpoints on this and understand that these people are brainwashed, that these people are deranged, that these people are sold this giant lie? And as much as we support certain people, as much as we support ICE, they hate them. And honestly, it's two opposite sides to the same coin. But there's no room for conversation. Can't have conversations anymore. Isaac, you've got an opinion on this. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I gotta switch audio. Hold on. I'm sorry. I lied to you. I lied. Okay, give it to us, buddy.
All right. It's funny. This is. I think it's another example of two movies, one screen. People see what their bias is to the extremes of both sides. I believe the guy has the right to protect himself. Absolutely. Do I think he put himself in harm's way? Most police officers put themselves in harm's way. That's why they're police officers. They run towards something and not away from something. But what I find interesting is a lot of people that can't grant that two things can be true at the same time.
Right.
Do I think she absolutely needed to die? No. Most people are of the same mind that no, she didn't need to die. At the same time, the law is written a certain way to give that benefit to that situation for the law enforcement officer, because we don't see things from his perspective. Things happen very fast, and slowing down the tape just to say, look, for this split second, if there's 18 frames in a second and you slow it down to half a second, you're going to see a world of difference from it in real time.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that people will not grant both of those things being true, that, maybe a different law enforcement unit would have treated it differently, and also depending on tactics and training. Here in California, we have California Highway Patrol. They're trained extensively for this type of situation where someone's in the car. They might not make the same moves or placement as let's say a sheriff department, or in this case ICE. So like you have to grant a little bit of leeway, because most police officers have to be able to breathe. They don't live in a very ultra tight bubble that just around them. They're interacting with other people on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. So like Not everything that happens is out of malice.
No, I don't disagree. Like I said, I have stood by the officer, and this easily could have been avoided if she just wouldn't have done what she did. But the question is this: did she put the officers in jeopardy? Yes. Therefore, lethal force was used. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. He's justified in the shooting. My point is, did you need to shoot when she was driving by and the threat was no longer there? I don't know, and I don't care. Once again, people that keep calling this a tragedy, this isn't a tragedy. I could give two shits. People die every single day in much worse circumstances. This was a person who put their life in danger, put themselves around a situation that had way too much tension and way too much fear, and made it worse. And they knew the risk. They knew the risk. They knew exactly what they were doing. She knew exactly what she was doing. And they unfortunately died. Okay, she died. That sucks. But it's not a tragedy. I keep hearing that. People are just like, oh, it's tragic. And I'm like, I don't consider this tragic. I consider this pretty open and shut.
Well, there's a level of gaslighting that was done by the media almost immediately after that she had passed away. The type of spin that was being doctored up almost immediately was just it was mind-boggling. Just like this person, if this person qualified for any descriptor, even if it was 1% of the personality, it was beneficial to give it to her. You don't want to speak ill of the dead, but they're going to give you all the accolades of this person. They won an award once. People said nice things about them. This one guy from elementary school said she was a wonderful person. They do all this stuff. I'm like, what are you guys doing? This is an adult that made a series of decisions that put them in a predicament where this was a possible outcome. And everyone says, well, what if that was your mother or your daughter or your sister? I go, well, they wouldn't have been in that situation.
Wouldn't make those decisions.
Exactly.
And then of course, God, Libra, you're on my target list tonight. Of course, you're like, life is not precious. You're not representing me correctly, and you're pissing me off tonight. You keep taking a small microcosm of what I've said and using it for you. That's not cool. Now you said life is cheap then. Yes. Life is cheap then. No. And you don't need to be a condescending dick about it. Because that's not what I said. I said innocent life. A baby has done nothing wrong. A baby doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. Baby in the room is defenseless. In the womb is defenseless. An older person can be taken advantage of. An older person can have dementia. They can sign a writ and sign a release that they may not be fully coherent to do and a right state of mind to do. There might be a power of attorney involved. So there's mitigating circumstances. Are you trying to tell me that this woman was forced in this situation and she was an innocent? No, she willingly went into the line of fire, used her vehicle to block armed officers. That is against the law. Then used that vehicle to flee an arrest with an officer in front of her. And whether she meant to or not is immaterial. That officer defended himself. That is not saying that life is cheap. It's saying that I'm not going to sit here and go, this is a tragedy, because it's not a tragedy. It's not a tragedy. It's stupidity. Of course, every life is important to somebody, but can we stop pretending that this life was something tragic and virtuous? This person sacrificed themselves, and essentially it was suicide. And I don't have a lot of empathy for people that commit suicide. I feel, and I can demonstrate the loss, but to sit here and say that a buddy of mine who commits suicide, I'm not going to care about. Of course I am. There's mitigating circumstances. There's emotion. There's feeling tied into that. But some rando on the street, for anyone to sit here and cry over that or sit here and say, this is the biggest loss of my life. And there's people out there making those videos. It's obnoxious. It's like the high school girl who the chess dork kills himself, and she goes to a counseling event, even though she would write fag on the back of his shirt in lipstick or beat him up or stuff him into a locker. But she pretends she cares all of a sudden because the limelight is now on her. That's what it reminds me of. It's this virtue signaling shit that I can't stand. That's my point. Isaac, wrap it up. I mean, am I making any sense, or am I completely off base here?
No, you're making complete sense. And and here's the thing: you're leaving room for grace in that conversation too, because did she mean to end her life? No, she messed up. She made a mistake. She made a series of mistakes. She chose those mistakes. She found out the hard way. That being said, not every police officer would have made the same decisions that the police officer made. But again, the law is written in a certain way to give benefit to that situation, because you're not in that situation and I'm not in this situation.
Right.
It's a split second decision. And, to say that he fired 2 more times, if, that's like as if he didn't have adrenaline going.
Right. And we said that. Yeah.
And just to kind of dovetail and end this out on my end, okay, so we're going to hang off every single sentiment that people are going to talk about this particular event. What about the Trinidad Agua ICE shooting in Portland?
Right.
Actual known traffickers.
Yeah.
And that's gotten how much airtime has that gotten?
0.
Priorities in this country.
Except for the police chief who
cried over it.
Who cried over them. Did you see that shit?
Oh,
we're gonna play it. We got to get to it. We have so much to get to. Isaac, always love when you call, man. Good
Thanks,
call. Thanks,
Thank
buddy.
you. Take care. You guys have a wonderful night.
Bye. Isaac is awesome. Listen, it is what it is. Just stop the virtue signaling. It was a tragedy.
Thomas Austin, for the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. Proverbs 2:6. Thanks so much.
Thomas, thank you so much. Yeah, listen, it's like I believe that the death penalty is 100% okay. Sorry. Saying that all life is precious, yes. All life is precious at some point. But I don't believe that all life is innocent and precious and just if you have murdered multiple people, you have raped people, I'm sorry, your time on this earth, that's where I go against the Bible. Thou shalt not kill. But I also have to look at an eye for an eye. Once again, I'm not the perfect Christian, I guess, but I have difference of opinion when it comes to capital punishment. I believe in capital punishment. You know what I mean?
Yep. Matt, do you think the officer will be brought up on state charges and have to take it to a higher court?
Well, he's a federal. Mr. Holliday donated $30. Really need to hear that tonight. So thank you. Love you guys. We love you too. Appreciate it. I think the state's going to try to bring charges, but to go after a federal agent, I think it's really stupid. If you're going to go after a federal employee, you can file charges, but it should have to be handled by the federal government in order to do that. It would have to be the Department of Justice. I don't think you're going to get any DOJ people to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't believe so. I don't believe he'll be brought up in charges. Like I said, it was a justified shoot. But in a perfect world, we could have done without the FUCKINGBITCH comment and the 2 shots to the side of the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
We probably could have. But you know what? You weren't in that situation. And I can tell you this. If somebody tries to run me over with a car, I'm going to mag them out. I'm going to unload that mag. I'm sorry. Because here's the real truth of it, folks. And you just need to understand it. Veterans, raise your hand. Okay. Veterans know what I'm about to say. If you've been downrange and you've been on a forward operating base or you've been beyond the wire, veterans will tell you that this movie BS that somebody's got a 9mm and they stop a truck, no. All of us, whether we've seen footage or ISR or been in it real or been behind a saw, will tell you, or a 50 cal will tell you, whether you're on a boat and you're trying to hit another vessel or you are in some sort of reinforced checkpoint or you're carrying a saw, it don't stop a truck. It doesn't stop a technical. That's the truth. And we have to understand that this officer, I haven't looked into his military history, but I would assume most of these guys have military background. You don't stop somebody with one shot. And when you think that you might have some other buddies, or she will go forward and then hit reverse and take everybody out, because that's the real threat, is if she would have went forward, not got hit, and then reversed and backed up, and all those guys, you have to assume, because I can show you 100 video where cops are flown over the roof or backed up or rolled over because they didn't shoot the person. This is a justified shoot. The optics are going to be a little bad because he called her an F and B and shot her twice on the side. But honestly, it is what it is. But everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? Ma deuce. But you don't stop a technical. I've seen people open up on that with 4 or 5 different firing positions, and that thing still comes. And anyone who's been in that situation knows what I'm talking about, okay? So I'm defending the guy, but I'm also saying that there's some optics around this. All right, moving on. January 6th cop Michael Fanoni. I think that's how you say his name. I think it's Phony. Michael Phony. There's some language in this, so I apologize to the people who have some sensitive ears. Put on your ear filters, folks. Here is January 6th cop Michael Fanoni.
And this ain't the first time that we've seen ICE and CBP abuse their power. It's probably the millionth fucking time that we've seen this happen. And it's not even the first time that someone has been seriously injured or lost their lives. And so these politicians and these local, state, and municipal law enforcement agencies need to wake the fuck up. I appreciate the foul language coming out of the mouth of, the mayor of Minneapolis. And I think that his
Doc Savage has totally proved my point. He's an Iraq war veteran, firearms instructor, and use of force instructor. End of story. This guy knows what it takes to bring down a technical, and you don't stop it. And the biggest threat wasn't the go forward movement because there was nobody in front. It's her putting in a reverse, which she already demonstrated once. At this point, the whole conversation really stops. Matt says, not even close to a justified shooting. If he had time to draw, take aim, and fire, he had time to, take one step to the left. You didn't watch the video, Matt. So see, Matt, here's the problem, Matt Benoit, is that your name? Your problem is that you didn't watch the damn video, because that's not what took place. And if you want to time me on a draw from a holstered position to firing, that takes less than 3/4 of a second to a half a second. Anybody who's worth their salt, and if you watch, he already had his hand on his firearm and presented the outward hand. So closing the gap and drawing and firing to a well-practiced officer, veteran, gun enthusiast, you didn't even watch the video, bro. No, you didn't watch the video, because what you said was completely fictitious. Because if you watch, he was ultimately on the left, him looking at her on the left side. She turned her vehicle towards him. He did make an initial step, but she closed that gap, and he drew and fired and still got hit. And his shuffle, where he picked up his leg, is where she clipped him and bumped into him. You didn't even watch the video, man. You didn't watch the video. I broke it down. Go back and watch my show 3 nights ago and stand corrected and come back and talk to me. Because what you just described is that all he had to do was jump out of the way. Well, then the threat still remains. You understand? The man recognized a threat, recognized that his brothers, his sisters, were behind in droves. There were multiple ICE agents there. There were civilians on scene. She made a threatening move towards him with her vehicle, which is a lethal weapon at that point. He drew and fired and eliminated the threat. That's a justified shooting. Now, what happened after that is that all he has to say is, my first shot, I don't know if it hit. And I followed it up with 2 more rounds because I was the only one in a position to still continue to eliminate the threat when it drove by, knowing that she may go into reverse, and which makes her 10 times of a harder target to kill. And then she has not only rear window and seats and everything else to obstruct fire. This was the most effective way to eliminate the threat. It's a justified shooting. Yeah, you're just being ignorant. So Matt says there's no threat. Then Matt, here's the thing. I'm going to give you $10,000. I'm going to fly out to my house and we're going to sign an NDA. You're going to sign a release. And we're going to run a little experiment. And you're going to let me have my Honda Pilot and you stand in front of me and you're going to let me gun it. And you tell me there's no threat. You're so full of shit, Matilda. You're full of shit. What a douche. Here's the rest of this video.
Sentiment in the moment was appropriate. That being said, what are you doing? What are you directing your law enforcement agencies to do to protect your citizens? How are you going about doing that? I don't need to hear from the chief of police that we all need to remain calm and protest peacefully. Fuck you and fuck that. What are you doing to keep me safe? What are you doing to keep my mother safe, my sister safe, my community safe from these thugs? That's what I need to hear coming out of these agents or these officers. Because if you're not going to do it, then it's time for the American people to organize and to utilize their Second Amendment right to protect themselves from what has clearly become an unaccountable and lawless agency that's killing America.
Matt says, ridiculous bastardization of the truth. I agree. Michael Fanoni is absolutely full of shit. I'm glad we agree finally, dude. If you want to talk to me, you call in. You call. I'm not gonna sit there and argue with you in text, dude, because complete bastardization of the truth. We'll just play the video and we'll break it down and I'll show you that you're lying. There was no threat. A 2,000-pound vehicle isn't a threat. You're retarded. And it shows that you're a civilian. It shows you also have never picked up a firearm in your life. And it shows you've never served anything other than your PUD with a J.C. Penney catalog and some turtle wax. So, whatever, buddy. Whatever. I deal with people like you all the time. He was standing on the passenger side when she started moving the car in reverse, then moved forward towards him. I know, Thomas. Michelle is very, very, Michel Benet. I don't even know how to say his name. Here is something else that's interesting.
Who was this dude who was just talking? And what was he talking about? It's
the J6 Capitol Police who's railing against Donald Trump and the J6 protesters, and he's made an entire career now of being the victim. Oh. Everyone knows who he is. Don't worry about it.
Got it.
All right, but what this also releases is Timu Dog the Bounty Hunter. I want to show you this guy. This is Michael Bonet's boyfriend. Watch this.
I wear a badge, not a cosplay badge, not a fake badge, a real badge. I need to say this out loud and clear. ICE can fuck all the way off. Because what you're doing out there, that's not law enforcement. It's not fucking public safety. That's not just following orders. And since all this bullshit started back in early February, every story, I've heard story after story after story of critical details of internal investigations being overlooked, just to cover up this inhumane bullshit that's going on out there in the name of law and order. And these scum that wear the American flag and a badge dripped in blood, they're not real law enforcement. They're not police. They're not federal agents. They're not even...
Dude, this guy is a fugitive recovery agent, which basically means
a bounty hunter.
He's Dog the Bounty Hunter. He's a Timu low rent. He come on. Dude, you don't wear a real badge, bro. You got that badge online on Amazon.com or from douchebag.bountyhunters.com. You're not a cop. You're not a real cop. You're a putz. And how do I know this? Because Olivia is going to tell you who this guy is. Here's Timu Dog the Bounty Hunter. Go ahead.
A former Oak Park resident has been sent to prison for possession and attempted distribution of child pornography. Nice. Kenneth, was it Barron? 31, pleaded guilty last month to 3 felonies and was sentenced to 10 years and 4 months in state prison. Barron was a registered sex offender. He was on parole for sex offense and impersonating an officer and false imprisonment of 2 Oak Park teens in 2013. Oh yeah, you're a real officer. In January 2018, deputies searched his possessions and discovered child pornography on his tablet and cell phone. Investigators. Oh
my gosh.
I'm so killing that word.
It's okay. Just people who look into things that are bad. Also,
continue. I can't believe I can't
Also found he was attempting to distribute the material through a cloud account he controlled. Howard Wise, Ventura County Senior Deputy District Attorney, said Barron's previous conviction meant he received a longer sentence for the new charges. Being a sex offender possessing child pornography caused a significantly larger penalty. Also, the fact that the sex offense he committed that landed him in state prison is a strike. Most people probably know of it in terms of the 3 strikes law. He was on 1 strike, which is the effect of doubling the sentence. Wise said Barron was raised in Oak Park, but at the time of his recent arrest, he was living in Oxnard. It happened to be right where I grew up, Ventura, Oxnard, Oakview. I know where Oak Park is too. Dude, this guy is a
real winner.
Wannabe cop. And if you have any problem with what I said, you and Michelle both can come to my house and take care of it. What a putz. Folks, we are 1/2 to goal. We have 1 minute and 40 left. We are in desperate need of a goal. This is the one problem by playing.
You know what we need to do? The wheel.
We do need to do the wheel.
Yeah.
Can we? Oh.
It's almost 9, so we do have to do the wheel.
I have to keep going, though.
I know.
I got to do the full show. Let's do the wheel. Liv, you tell everyone what we're about to do.
All right. So Friday we had our entry. It's our first jacket giveaway of the year. Every first Friday of the month, we do entries, 25 to get in, and then we put all names on a wheel and we spin it, and one person gets a jacket. Now we raised over 1,000, so we're giving away 2 jackets today.
We had a lot of entries.
We did. I mean, it was huge.
It was a good for one jacket turns into 2. It's pretty impressive. So
yes.
We're pretty excited about it. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to drag the wheel of destiny of fortuitousness into this window. Maybe. And
now here's the thing. If you win, we would really appreciate a picture of you wearing the jacket and send it to us, because we're trying to make a collage with all our winners.
Yeah.
But I will reach out to the winners to get sizes and information. Also, just remember, the jacket is taking a little bit longer because it's such a high stitch count. We're just now getting the final approval of the design by the company. So the jackets haven't even been made yet. So just know that it's going to be a couple weeks before you get your jacket. But you'll get it.
It's not going to be a couple weeks. They just approved the final design, and it's out of hold. And Dawn should be getting hers in the next 5-6 days. These will be purchased, and they should go right to production. So within 7 to 10 days. But, that's pretty good for a custom-made embroidered jacket. Are we ready for spins?
Yes.
Let's get this.
And the first winner is.
And goal is over, by the way. Here. Let's do this. Do you want this full screen, or can we do it like this?
You can do it like that.
All right, here we go. Are we ready?
Yes.
Here's the first spin.
Ready?
Do I have a drum roll? No.
I don't know. I don't have the soundboard anymore. Here's the first one.
First one. Don't worry about sound. It doesn't do sound.
It's issues with sound.
Here we go. It's spinning. This is a random app. It selects people randomly. That's why it's called a random app. We have no control whatsoever on this at all. And since this is a new jacket, everybody can win. Oh, Liv.
Jeff Oliphant, that extra donation paid off, dude.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Jeff made 2, one for his son, and I believe, and one.
He said there was no misses, so he said put his son's name.
Yeah,
in.
put his son. So Josiah Oliphant, congratulations. You won a brand new jacket. That's awesome. We're gonna remove you from this, and unfortunately, you cannot win again.
Yep. The next time you can win is the 2026 end of year.
End of year, you won your jacket, but now we will have our second spin. Here it is. So exciting.
All right, second winner.
Here it is. Second spin. Remember, if it lands on Jeff, we'll be doing this again because I can't take his name out. Well, I can, but I'm not going to. Here it is. Second spin. We could probably do a little music.
That's all right.
There we go.
gotta get some spin music. Yes. I gotta have him do a birthday song and spin music. Here we go. Maureen Flood is the winner of the jacket, which I believe was an extra donation. So that paid off because one of our viewers put an extra donation. I think we did too. Mm-hmm. So Maureen Flood wins the jacket. Congratulations, Maureen.
All right, Maureen and Jeff, if you could please send me an email, olivia@thedumbshow.com, with size of jacket, color, and your contact info. That would be wonderful.
Now, a lot of people have made a comment that they want to do this more often than once a month. If you want to do this more, you guys got to tell me. But I kind of like the once a month thing. I think it gives people a chance. But we certainly love it. Congratulations to both. Maureen has been with us for a long time. She's been watching for a ton of time. And it's nice to see them both win. Jeff says make it a large. He says, I can't believe it. Thanks so much.
Send me an email.
Send her an email, folks. Don't tell her. Listen,
I'm going to forget. Send me an email.
We are listen, and this is great because you know what? It's the first winner we've had for an extra donation for that. That's awesome. That's the way it should be. It's really cool. We're gonna listen. We're gonna give away 12 at least. I probably gonna give away 24 to 36 if this keeps up. So let's keep doing it, folks. Let's keep having some fun with this. If you guys think we should do it twice a month, let me know. We'll do it twice a month if that's what it takes. It's $25 entry. I don't mind doing it twice a month. If you guys want to do it twice a month, we're down. Let us know what you think. But congratulations to Maureen and Jeff. You both great night and good for you both. Yes. Now, if we have a chance, we would love to get some donations in here in order for us to breathe a little bit. Chuck Peterson comes in. Great show tonight. Thanks you too. Thank you, Chuck. 220.43. It's $80 shy. Let's keep going. Olivia and I are going to keep going until we're all caught up. Maybe you can check the game tonight and find out what time it starts.
Yes.
Let's move on to our next topic.
I'm putting this in.
You call it out.
This will be JD Stillwell. Powerful message tonight, and the show growth physically and spiritually is awesome to see.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it's nice
JD.
to see that we've got 200 plus on right now with Rumble. So that's exciting. Next video is, now that we've got through Temu Dog the Bounty Hunter, this is one from Representative Sarah Stalker. Olivia sent this in to me tonight. Olivia, what is this about with Representative Stalker? She doesn't remember.
I'm going to have to see the video first. I'm sorry.
Sweetheart, you have to, when you send me the video, you have to remember them.
I normally refresh my memory.
Honest,
when we go
I don't
through
feel
it.
good about being.
I didn't send this to you.
Yes,
I've never seen it.
Okay, well, we're going to cover it anyway.
Yeah, because I don't remember it.
Remember the video that we did on Friday, which was about having white guilt, that you can't feel bad for Renee Good because, you know, your white tears are taking up space. Here's Representative Sarah Stalker, who's really just upset about being white. Olivia, make sure they all use lowercase in your email. I had a heck getting into all go through.
Oh, they probably put in capital O and the dumb show probably capitalized. So it's just olivia@thedumbshow.com, all lowercase.
So one person said do it twice a month. You guys let me know. If you want to do it twice a month, let's get it. Thomas just saw this. Representative Steny Hoyer from Maryland has announced he's finally, going to retire. He's 86. Been in Congress since 81. Yeah, but another Lib Lab is going to fill his spot. Here is Representative Sarah Stalker. Watch this. Liv, you got to watch this. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I don't feel good about being white every day for a lot of reasons. Because it's a point of privilege that I get to move through the world in a way that so many of my other colleagues and friends and family members of the community don't get the privilege to do. And I'm just a female, but just a woman, just a white woman. If I was a white man, I would be functioning from a point of an even greater privilege. I think we're missing an opportunity when kids have a moment to reflect about how the color of their skin does and does not allow them to move through the world. Running to them and trying to stifle that and trying to say you shouldn't feel bad. So we don't want to ever expose you to something that is going to make you have to pause and have maybe some internal feelings. It's a missed opportunity for some really good dialogue.
Liv, move it to 2 nights a month. So we're going to do it the Friday and the first Friday and the third Friday from now on.
Sounds good.
May add it up.
I think we'll start it in February because we had to do this one late.
No, we're doing it this month. Everybody wants it
next month.
No, we're doing it. No, we're doing it next week.
Okay.
Everybody wants it. We're going to do it. So, we got to do it. By the way, folks, if you haven't seen over on the left-hand side, Don't Unfriend Me Coffee is back. We need someone to take the plunge. Folks, the coffee is one of the most popular things that we've ever sold here. It is back. And honestly, this roaster is ridiculous. This is 4547, the Donald Trump coffee. Has a slight hint of caramel with slight zest of citrus. It is an amazing blend. We've got this, the FJB, the Napalm in the Morning, the Tomahawk, and the Moab coffee, along with commie decaf. So you'll have to be called a communist, unfortunately, if you drink decaf coffee. But it is available. And folks, it's $1 less than it's ever been, which is amazing. The shipping has gone up a little bit, so I depriced, devalued, decreased. I bless the coffee. No, I decreased the price on the coffee $1, and I believe it's sitting at $15.99 a bag. You can get some. This is great stuff. It's all veteran made. It's all from Wisconsin. This guy owns a winery and a pizzeria. He is a good friend of the show. He's taking over all of our coffee. It's available. Go to thedumbshow.com and pick yourself up some coffee. Can this chick's annoying, eh?
So, couple things on this. One, has she ever felt guilt for being an American? When you live in America, you are very privileged to live in the wealthiest and freest nation on the planet.
I don't think this woman feels sorry for being white. I don't think she feels sorry for having pee sitting down. I don't think she feels sorry for anything other than she didn't think of it quick enough in order to garner more attention. Yeah. Nobody believes that shit. Nobody's sorry for being white. Can I be honest with something? I don't want to be black. I have no desire. I have no desire to be a woman. I have no desire to live in another country. I am fine being white because I know what black people have gone through. I certainly haven't understood it, but I know. Liv, call it out.
That was Isaac on Rumble. It's a point of privilege to be born in the United States. There's always people better and worse off. Well, I hate a guy who had a better starting point. No, this lady is neurotic. Now, here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Is if you are so ashamed to be white and you're white privilege, why don't you go buy a farm in South Africa and then tell me how privileged you are living in that country?
Yeah, be a Christian. Why don't you give up all your wealth to black people?
There you go. Give it all away. Give your house.
Are you married to a white person? So you support racism.
Yep. So you have white children. So
you have white children. So you have to disown them because they're white. So essentially, what you're saying is that a person isn't. See, here's the thing. You guys pretend that Martin Luther King was a liberal. Martin Luther King was not a liberal. He was absolutely a Democrat, but he was a moderate Democrat, mainly. And to sit here and say that you value people on the basis of their skin color or devalue them, you're a racist. Don't you understand how racist? You hate white people and you're white. I mean, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would you break someone down by their lowest common denominator? There's so many other things to value with a person. Are they a good person? Are they kind? Do they pay their bills on time? Do they show up when you need them? Are they a good friend? So much more important than something stupid like the color of their skin. They had no choice. You had no choice to be an American. You had no choice to be white. You had no choice if you're rich or poor. These are the things that you were born into. It's what you do with those things that makes you a value. But these people just virtue signal and they have no idea what they're talking about. Yep. Good job, Liv. Pound it out, G, right here.
Thanks.
Bam. $25.
It was Isaac Castillo. Everybody else.
He did that too.
He donated and then he did the super chat.
Isaac, thank you so much. Every bit helps, and it certainly does. We love you, Isaac, and we appreciate all your call-ins. People enjoy listening to you. We got another one coming up here in a second, but I'm going to squeeze out another video. This is probably the best I've seen. Did we find out what time the game was on?
At 10 o'clock. I just looked it up.
So good. Great. We can keep going.
I do have to prep dinner for tomorrow, but yes.
I've got some prep. I got prep dessert.
Yes, you got to prep dessert. I got to prep dinner because you're on the show tomorrow. So
I'm on 4 hours straight tomorrow. No, I'm on 6 hours straight because I got to do prep for Dan's show. Then I got to prep for our show.
Yeah,
so I don't know when I'm going to eat.
I'm working late, so I'm making a crock pot meal. So I got to prep it tonight. So
I don't know when we're going to eat because
Ethan and I will probably eat at 5, so I can be ready, and then you'll have to eat between shows.
So guys, here's the deal. I'm on 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock tomorrow. on Rumble, Dan Nunn's show, the Nunn Report. Then we're back on 7 to 9. So I'm going to be tired. I'm going to need some positivity. We're going to need a lot of people there. So come over and watch me on Rumble, and then come on and watch us over wherever you watch on the rest of the network. Here is a video. This is probably one of the best. This is about AIPAC, and I've been trying to tell people, but this guy does it exactly like I told you, and he really crushes this debate. Listen to this, because these are the facts of the case.
Bizarre that in a topic that did not include the word Israel, the only country we actually discussed was Israel. I actually believe that we should end all foreign aid, but that includes all foreign aid, not only one obsessive country. You mentioned FARA. Let's talk about FARA, the Foreign Agents Registry Act. The Foreign Agent Registry Act is a law imposed by the United States in order to block the access of Nazi Germans to the United States. Qatar currently has 31 registered FARA agents compared to Israel, which has 15. From 2021 to 2025 alone, Qatari FARA agents logged 627 in-person meetings with members of Congress, which is more than every other country by 300 meetings. So let's talk about AIPAC. I don't support AIPAC, largely because they're pretty ineffective. AIPAC is an organization comprised exclusively of Americans, by Americans, and for Americans. You don't have to like them, but that doesn't mean they're an agent of a foreign country. Just like Indian Americans have UNISPAC, the Armenian Americans have ENCA, Greek Americans have HALC, or the Ukrainian American community, which is the UCCA. Americans are free to lobby as they would like. And if you want to make laws against the lobbying of Americans to their government, then fine, let's discuss the policy and legislation. Although, unfortunately, all we've done is obsess over one country. In 2024, it's true, AIPAC is an American lobbying group, just like the NRA or the Chamber of Commerce. They spent roughly $100 million on lobbying and elections. In the same year, China spent $500 million. Japan spent $400 million. Big Pharma, $400 million. Saudi Arabia, $310 million. Qatar, $250 million. But you wouldn't know this because my esteemed opponent is obsessed with only one country and one country only. But what about the fact that Israel controls American foreign policy? Isn't all of our Congress bought and paid for by Israel? If that's true, that somehow Israel controls American foreign policy, then someone clearly needs to explain to me how is it that President Truman forced the Israelis to stop its advances against the Egyptian army in 1948, which actually would have destroyed the Egyptian army unilaterally. President Eisenhower forced the State of Israel to pull back from the Sinai in 1956. President Johnson refused to greenlight a preemptive strike by Israel against the Egyptians in 1967. President Nixon prevented the IDF from crushing the Egyptian Third Army. President Ford forced the Israelis to withdraw from strategic areas under the Sinai II Agreement. President Carter pressured the Israelis to fully withdraw from Sharm el-Sheikh. President Reagan applied pressure to Israelis to withdraw from Beirut. Of course, President Bush, the senior, forbade the Israelis from responding to Saddam's 1991 Scud missile attack. And a point that you failed to address is if Israel actually controls the United States government, how come that the greatest existential threat to the state of Israel of the last 20 years, the Iranian nuclear deal, JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, of which Bibi Netanyahu, AIPAC, and almost every single Jewish American lobbied their member of Congress against, still passed. So if Israel controls America, they're doing a pretty shitty job. And that brings me to my final point.
I mean, this guy getting up off the mat. I mean, when you give somebody 4 minutes who's this prepared, you're cooked. Like, this guy just better just walk off the stage, because he's not just pointing out and saying that AIPAC is good, because I happen to agree all lobbies are horrible and should be dismantled and completely banned from Washington, D.C. He's saying that they're ineffective at their job. He's making the case. Your case is that they control everything, and he's demonstrating why they suck. And what are you going to say? Jew, you're a Jew hater. Well, he happens to be Jewish. So it's a pretty damn good argument. Here's the rest.
The only reason America has enemies in the...
By the way, I want to go ahead and say thank you to, was it Roger Newman? Roger Newman just bought 2 bags of coffee. Roger, bear with us. I got to work it out with my guy Ryan and make sure he's got to, roast the coffee, do all that. I don't know his shipping times. We're going to get you through it. Hang tight with us. I should have an answer for you shortly, and you'll get an update in your email about shipping dates. This guy sounds like he's pretty shit hot and doesn't want to wait. So FYI.
East is because of Israel. Well, that doesn't make any sense because, as I mentioned, the first war the United States ever fought as a country was against Islamists off the coast of Libya, which was more than 140 years before the creation of the State of Israel, which really brings me to my final point. The problem we have in the United States is not something the Jews or something Israel. The problem we have in the United States is the rise of radical Islam. In the last 25 years, I am just going to name just a couple of incidents, so indulge me. Nice, France, radical Muslim terrorist. The 2017 Paris attacks, radical Muslim. The reason TSA checks your shoes in airports, radical Muslim. The underwear bomber, radical Muslim. The New Orleans ISIS attack, radical Muslim. Westminster, Boston Marathon, Manchester Arena, Pan Am bonding, Fort Hood, Beltway sniper attacks, the list goes.
Listen, we don't need any comment. It comes down to this, unless you have something, is you've heard all of that on the show. We've talked about every single one of those things. We've explained it 100 million times. And now you have a Jew who's against AIPAC. Ben Shapiro's against AIPAC. He believes that Israel should fund its own military. He believes that Israel should stand alone from the United States, that they're a sovereign nation and they shouldn't rely on the United States for their own defense. But nobody will say that about Ben Shapiro. It's interesting. Moving on. Go ahead, babe.
This is anonymous. Absolutely no guilt here. God chose my color. I will not be bowing or licking the boots of any other human. Have a great night.
Sounds good to me.
Well said.
Sounds good to me. If anyone out there has a foot fetish, that you say no. No, I will not. No licking of the feet. Olivia wanted me to. Well, actually, let's do Will Kane, and then we'll do the ice skater video. We're going to power through these. Liv, hit it.
Yep, that was Debbie Boggs. Great show tonight. Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks, Deborah. Appreciate you. The reason why he's going so fast is he has 4 minutes. And so that's debate. And you learn to speak real fast. Will Kane versus
why, Shapiro speaks fast?
Yes. That's why I speak fast. I did debate. When I got in Intel, I was told I've slowed down a lot on this show. But when I first started, I was real fast. But it held me back in my briefings in A school, is that they had to, like, I finally got pulled to the side and said, dude, if you do not slow down on talking, you're never going to the fleet. And I had to learn to slow down. Will Kane versus Seth Moulton. Listen to this.
Interviewed any eyewitnesses on the ground?
That's what we were just talking about.
Have you interviewed any eyewitnesses on the ground in Minneapolis? Have you interviewed any eyewitnesses?
Have I personally interviewed them? No, that's not my job. My job is to speak truth to power.
It's really interesting.
And when I look at that video, I see murder. And I think we should call it that if that's what happened. And by the way, I've been in situations like that. Have you ever
due process? I've looked at your tweets. You've talked about the concept of due process. No, this is important for everybody to understand. You have a job, and you was highlighted to us as a congressman. You watched a viral video. I don't know how many videos you watched. There's multiple angles, but you watched a video. You didn't interview a witness. You didn't look at law enforcement reports. You haven't spoken to the agent involved. And with that limited knowledge of looking at a viral video, you went to social media and you condemned the federal officer to murder. You made that conclusion long before an investigation is played out. And I'm just curious, is that in line with your vision of due process? Interviewed any eyewitnesses?
That's what we were just talking.
You know what? It sounds
Good job, Will Kane.
It sounds like Michelle Benet's father, because that sounds just like Michelle. You didn't watch the video. You didn't actually look at it. You didn't see it. Because here's the thing. You're on the wrong show. If you're sitting here and coming after me for defending this guy nonstop and licking boots, you didn't listen to my analysis of the shooting to begin with. I can understand where some people on the left are coming from for certain aspects of it, but it always comes down to this: comply. Comply. We wouldn't have had hands up, don't shoot. We wouldn't have had I can't breathe. And we wouldn't have had drive if you just would have shut up and complied, or decided to stay home that day and just eat more shit on the couch and watch Price is Right reruns and do what you do every other day because you don't have a job. You could have, instead of be good, how about you behave?
There you go.
We'll go ahead and put that button on there. Should make a shirt that says behave. Behave. Obey. Mm-hmm. Obey. Sounds like pig Latin. Tell us about this ice skater story. I know, now, of course, you remember everything about this because it's gay.
No, actually, I only I only looked at 2 stories, and that white liberal chick, I've never seen that video in my life. So just letting you know. So this ice skater, his name is Max something. Unfortunately, I don't remember his last name. It has been his dream.
It's first of all, it's Maxim Normov.
Excuse me.
And he's Russian.
He's Russian, but he is American.
He's a Russian American.
He's a Russian American, and it's been his dream since he was little to be in the Olympics, where he made the team this week, where it is like a fairy tale ending, but also a little bittersweet. Both his parents were in.
Let's play the video.
Oh, okay. I thought you told me to.
No, I told you to give him a teaser, not tell him the whole movie.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
You know, like, do you see it like, oh my God, 11 dies in the end. You're like, well, that was a Stranger Thing. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right, here it is. Here's the intro. You laid it up beautifully, except for when you're telling them the story.
Yeah.
Everything was good until the last 2 or 3 words. So we're going to let him. You did great.
Seen in St. Louis this weekend at the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. Maxim Normov competing just 1 year after his parents died in the tragic mid-air collision over D.C. last January, killing all 67 people on board. The 24-year-old's parents.
Oh my God, they were in that?
Yeah, didn't you watch the video?
No, because it's yours, and I like to be surprised.
Yes, they were.
How many times do I tell you, like, oh my God, I love it when you have stuff, because I actually get to learn something.
Yes.
No, of course I didn't watch this. This is all you, babe. I just grabbed the video. So, oh my God, that's crazy. We covered that. So, remember how right we were on everything too?
Yep.
Okay, here's
We're both coaches in the U.S. figure skating scene, teaching Maxim everything he knows. Shortly before the tragic flight, Maxim actually spoke with his parents about what it would take for him to make the 2026 Olympics. And that dream now has come true, with Normov securing one of the spots on the U.S. Olympic team after finishing 3rd in the men's singles championship this weekend. Now, following his performance, a powerful moment for the young athlete. Take a look at your screen. He holds up a childhood photo of him with his late parents. Throughout the weekend, you can see the fans and team rallying behind Maxim, knowing what the past year has been like for him. Maxim, understandably emotional as he receives his Team USA jacket yesterday. He says none of this would have been possible without the support he has received from.
You guys can receive a jacket, and you'll feel that way too if you just go ahead and take a photograph.
Everyone around.
Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch this whole video.
Every
I just
message,
kind of.
Every letter, every call, every text. I see it, and it helps me.
What do you think they're thinking right now?
I really hope that my mom watched, because she never used to watch me skate. But they'd say, we're proud of you, but job's not finished.
Wow. Maxim will now head to Italy for the Winter Olympics next month, carrying his parents' legacy on his shoulders. He's expected to compete in the men's singles figure skating event set to begin on February 10th. And guys, we all look for that moment, that singular moment where we can come together as a nation.
Be quiet. You don't watch figure skating, dude. Stop it. So real
what
quick.
What a bittersweet moment.
Daniel Jackson, we read all the comments. I just don't, you keep commenting, and I just figured you were commenting. You're not asking us anything, so no. Hi, what? Quick.
Yeah, come on.
For what?
You're going to want to hear this.
Okay, get over there. Do we put you on video?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, hold on a second.
Well, let me finish this.
Well, we got to watch the video too. Hayden, just hold on. Go ahead, Liv.
So, I mean, bittersweet to have this as your dream your whole life, and you finally make your dream. But unfortunately, both your parents died in that plane accident last year. I mean, he's got to be pretty emotional right now.
Oh, completely. Here's just a little snippet. Then we have Hayden coming on in a surprise show. Folks, we're in overtime, so we would love to overdrive. Game doesn't start till 10, so show your appreciation by helping the Don't Unfriend Me show, by giving us $1, $5, $10, $100, whatever you want to do, or liking and sharing the site and the show. It really means the world. Remember, Tuesday, tomorrow, 4 to 6 Eastern, I'll be on Rumble on the Nun Report. You can see me over there. I'll be filling in. Here's just a quick video of the ice skating competition. I was good enough to go the extra mile. Hold on, everybody. Here it is. We're not going to watch all 4.5 minutes. This is a long routine. We're not doing it. I like the short routines.
How long is it?
4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, that's right. I haven't watched. So I'm rooting for him to win.
Well, I think everybody is. I'm rooting for him.
One of the last conversations.
I want him to fly high.
What do I need to do to make it to that Olympic
horrible.
team? And he's worked
What?
so hard for this moment.
Watch this.
Oh, okay. Well, that is what you need to do.
That's pretty good.
Beautiful quad sow.
He wasn't off angle. He stuck it vertical. It's all right. Little touch. It's fine. He'll have to go perfect with that score from here. You guys, I know a lot about this stuff, by the way. I joke that this is gay, but Olivia will tell you I watch the Winter Olympics.
We used to watch every single thing in the Olympics until they went woke.
Yeah. Daniel, you don't need to send us money. You don't just watch the show. We ask for donations and people do it. It's great. If it's not, we'll figure it out. Here it is.
Need 2 quads.
But he's got to stick the rest of this.
If you want to go to the Olympics.
Yep.
The next
2
element
quads
is the
will get him in.
second quad.
And he's got to nail him. Now we're going to watch this. Here comes one. Yep, quad.
Really off on that takeoff. Only a triple.
Yep. Gotta come on, Bubba. Gotta hit this. I mean, we know he gets in, right?
Definitely not what he wanted, but a clean finish to this free skate with the emotion can make all the difference. Triple axel. Nice.
Oh,
landed that one. Double axel.
Ooh, good. That's gonna give him 40 points. 30. Yep, 35. Good.
I love how they put that on
His fluidity is good. His power is strong. He's graceful in his strides too.
Figure skating was always my favorite.
Yeah.
When I was younger, growing up.
He's good. I mean, he doesn't have as much pop. Let's see how he sticks the last. He's in his groove now. Here it is. Oh,
That was pretty.
that was good. So that was a quad to a triple, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, perfect. Little low on the leg, but that's just that's it. He'll fix that. $62.86.
What is that? Since the
They're showing the
logo's
leader.
Mm.
95.69. And probably, or what he has to qualify on, you know?
Yeah.
I'll move this. Yeah, that's the leader. Torgashev.
Okay. Oh.
He's going to qualify, though, right?
Yeah, well, we know he qualifies, but...
He's graceful. I mean, he's got his moves. He can just land those, stick those jumps. All right. Did you notice all those scores with that? He's got this down right here. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. He's got the ability. He's just got to stick those jumps. And that would have been... That was a little... His spin was off. He's good. He's good. He's talented. I mean, he's not going to win a gold, but he's talented. And good for him. We're going to root for him, though. Are we going to watch this year?
As long as they're not woke, yes.
As long as they're not woke. Well, there it is. All right. We have a special guest. Hayden.
I'm going to try not to lose my cool when I tell you guys
And
this.
you need to be really calm. So, Ethan, can you come here and focus your sister? 4 minutes. Yeah, 4 minutes. That's an unbelievable long program. It's also quals. It's different. He's going to get his routine. He's going to study it up. We'll see how he does. I don't think he's a gold winner, but he's got talent. Artistically, he's great.
Can you focus her camera,
Can you
please?
go over and focus Haiti?
Yep.
Okay,
Looks
Hayden, scoot up to your mic. And I don't know what this is about, so I might just pull the plug on this. But go ahead.
My high school is organizing an ICE protest that is happening during a school day.
When?
And my high school is organizing it. And they just posted it on Instagram, and I just saw it.
When?
No, just tell us, Hayden.
When is ICE walkout January 20th at 2 p.m. And there is a whole post explaining what it is about, what we are doing.
Keep your mouth on the mic.
Apparently what these protesters are supposed to be doing is the walkout begins at 2 p.m. and they're walking to the front of the school and they're going to protest in the front of the school. They are probably going to get kicked out of the school because the administration is not aware of what is going to happen. This is student run.
How did you find out about this?
It's posted on Instagram by a student run account. LCPS has no knowledge of it yet. But
they're going to, because I'm going to tell them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to.
It's if we get kicked out of the school, make your way into the town of Percival, and the protest will last an hour in the town of Percival. And there are several Woodgrove High School students.
So why are you upset about this?
Because it's a protest against ICE in the middle of a school day.
They have every right to. They have every right for the First Amendment. They have every right to express themselves, and that's fine as long as it's peaceful. Why don't you run a counter protest?
I could.
You could. You could. You know what you could do? You could write a letter to President Trump. And I happen to know the director of ICE in the DC chapter, also Department of Homeland Security, know them both, and see if they will bring their vehicles and hold an education rally on what they do at the high school during that time. Why not? Why not do it? But this is the First Amendment after all. And if they decide to skip school and be truant, they're going to face the consequences. But why not do something different? What do you think?
I could.
You could. But don't be upset by it. Just, I'm pretty confident it'll probably be an abysmal failure. But I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of these students, because on the internet, you get keyboard warriors who are tough behind the keyboard, but when you get them, they're not in person. I guarantee a lot of those kids are puffing up behind the keyboard, but when it actually comes down to it, they're not going to do it because they're going to be too chicken to walk out because they're going to get detention or they're going to get suspended or the school's going to contact their parents.
The school's going to know because I'm going to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Because although they have a right of speech, and some of these are 18. Kenny, could you square up and scoot up?
Yeah, this other way. Yeah.
So they have a right because they're 18 years old and they're high school students. I mean, I don't know what else. I can understand why you're frustrated. I can understand why you're pissed. But let me ask you a question. If you wanted to do something to recognize in January, abortion awareness, would you do something like that at school?
Probably, yeah.
Mike.
Yes.
Lean forward. Get
probably.
Up there. If you're going to be on my show, Hayden, you have to act accordingly. Okay? So either get up there and participate or get off the show.
Mm-hmm.
So are you mad about this?
I'm not upset. I'm just the fact that, why are you bringing this into school and why are you trying to make this a huge thing in the middle of a school day?
Because I think these kids are trying to do it for attention and they're trying to, in their eyes, try to bring some sort of awareness to this. And that's their choice. As far as the administration knows, no, they don't. It's on Instagram. They don't know. This just posted. They will know because I'm going to tell them, and other parents will too, because we're a community and we care. But I don't think this is going to go over as well as they think in this town. This town doesn't. So how many likes are on this post?
As of right now, 54, and there are 27 reposts.
Can I make a recommendation? I say you do a counter. I say what you do is you just say. My thoughts is, why don't you do a prayer everyone meets during this time who wants to pray for the ICE officers and pray for, their safety, do a prayer. Or do what I said and get Department of Homeland Security out there and ICE out there and let them, talk to people. But I appreciate your active involvement. I understand. I mean, I think it's stupid, but the only way to get the truth out is to demonstrate the other side. Who's going to speak for the ICE officers? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I found out about it from a group chat, and it was Molly Inman, who's been on the show.
Don't say people's names. First name only.
Sorry, Molly, who's been on the show.
Okay.
She texted me, and she just went, like, I cannot believe what's happening right now. And I was like, what's happening? Yeah. And she was like, my group chat's going crazy. They're all sliming me out. They're like yelling at me and calling me horrible because they are talking about the ICE walkout and they wanted to like go and make posters and be a part of it. And I said, absolutely not. And they're sliming me about it and they're getting mad at me about it and they're calling me like horrible things about it.
Liv, your thoughts? I'll bring my, I'll bring my cameras and we'll just interview people. I'm interested.
When did politics become a young person's game?
Forever.
It's just, I knew nothing about politics when I was your age. I was completely oblivious.
Alexander Hamilton was when he got into.
Yeah, he was like 14 or something.
Yeah, you went Burris. Yeah, go ahead. How old?
He was 13.
14. But
oh.
So, I mean, and you can go on and on and on. I mean, you can look at George Washington, how old he was. You can look at Van Buren and see how old he was. Taft, and I mean, the history, Abraham Lincoln, for God's sakes. It's always been a young person's game. Politics it's in their soul. You know what? I'd rather have kids involved than not involved.
That's true.
What's up, Hayden?
Me,
yeah,
for
look
example.
at you. Right. Yeah, you as well. You have a great suggestion to inquire of a contact to bring representation education. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm serious. Just let me get a hold of Department of Homeland Security and ICE and see if we can get a couple field agents out there to educate. Give us some stickers and, why not? I mean, because that's how you beat this, is show support. And what we could also do is I don't know, is have a recruiting day. Something. I mean, just stupid. I'll make ice jackets and we'll go up there. I don't care because this is insane. But there should be a counter conversation to this. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of having a prayer. Thanks for bringing it to us, honey. Love you.
Yep.
Love you.
See you, kid. Interesting. I understand the point. It is First Amendment. These kids have a right to express it. Let them express it. But I have a feeling this is going to be quashed pretty damn quick.
Boombox with Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That would be funny.
Yeah, but hey, I appreciate you bringing it. But I'm telling you, if you're really, truly upset by this, then do something about it. And the only thing to do about it is to counter it. Yeah. And the only way to counter it is to educate. I love you.
Send us the info, please.
It's not going to happen. No. They're going to shut that thing down in a heartbeat. This is a conservative town. They're not going to let that shit take place.
I'm gonna send the info and I'm gonna send an email to the principal.
Bill Maher was asked on the white carpet during the Emmys about Wanda Sykes and Mark Ruffalo wearing a "Be Good" button. This is the new thing. This is like, this is what they're doing, of course. So here we go. We're gonna watch this. And I want you to listen to Bill Maher. World Radio 32.5 through Super Chat. Many in admin and teaching staff won't jeopardize their careers, but don't mind activating your kids for their political views. They do PA to see ya. Cover your ass. CYA. Yes. Golden Globe, Emmy, I don't know. I don't care.
You don't watch it.
I don't care about any of that shit. It's some stupid, obnoxious thing. Bill Maher had something to say because Wanda Sykes called him out during the event. This is what Bill Maher had to say. Listen to this. I just love Bill Maher.
Wearing a Be Good pin for Renee Good, obviously, and trying to use this platform for activism. Do you feel that's effective or no?
Oh, come on. We're just here for show business today. It was a terrible thing that happened, and it shouldn't have happened. And if they didn't act like such thugs, it wouldn't have had to happen. But I don't need to wear a pin about it.
I'm presenting the award for stand-up comedy on television, but first, I want to give them some love. Bill Maher, you give us so much, but I would love a little less. Just try less.
Wanda Sykes also wearing a Be Good pin.
Look at his face like, what?
It's like, what are you talking about? Behave. That's better.
I think you should make that shirt.
Make that shirt? Okay. RFK Jr. nukes junk food and sweets on Snap. You did this. Go ahead and tell us what's going on there.
So I'm not sure. I know it's been talked about because I saw posts back to February of last year, but the video I saw was posted earlier today. So I think it's been talked about, but I think it finally went through that Snap, you can no longer purchase sugary drinks and soda on Snap with Snap benefits. And I guess people are up in arms over it and freaking out that they're not going to be able to buy their soda and crap with it. And I mean, it's for nutrition. I mean, soda's really not part of a nutritious diet, but
well, here it is. By the way, Sandra Edwards, I just got your health update. We're praying for you. We hope that you recover. And I know it's tough right now. Hang in there. If you guys know Sandra, she's a long-time listener, and she's just going through it right now. So please do us a favor and just give her a quick prayer and thought, Sandra Edwards. So, folks, that's it for Goal. We have one more video to show, which is the RFK. We're at 3:05:43. If you plan on helping out the show, now's the time. We've only got about 2 minutes left. And we are in overtime. We figured you guys earned it. Here is the RFK Snap update.
Oh, man, look at these fucking...
Oh, that's the other guy. We'll end with him.
Programs in prisons, any place where the federal government, in school lunch programs, any place where the government is involved in subsidizing food is now going to change. And that will change the markets. We have, 78% of SNAP recipients, of food stamp recipients, end up on Medicaid. So we are paying for 10% of SNAP prior to when we got in here was going to soda drinks, which are poisoning people and giving them diabetes. 38% of American teens are now diabetic or pre-diabetic. That was essentially zero when I was a kid. Now it's 1 out of every 3 kids who walks into a pediatrician office. And we can change that with diet. Most people, most type 2 diabetes can lose their diagnoses simply by changing diet. It's much more effective than pharmaceutical drugs or pharmaceutical interventions or medical interventions.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we're doing is Brooke Rollins is requiring that any facility, any store that accepts food stamps will have to double the amount of whole food that is now available.
So interesting point.
One quick thing. Let's all hope that the liberals decide to boycott water and only drink soda. There'll be a lot less liberals in the world.
Gosh, yeah. Donald Trump should do something with water and, do some, I don't know what, but go out and endorse water and say water is good. So they go on a water strike.
Brondo.
It'll only take 3 days, folks.
Exactly.
That's the good news. So water strike let's hope they do water strike for 4 days and we can solve a lot of the problems. Just kidding. All life is precious. Last video. This has some language. If you wanted to turn it off, now is the time. You don't have to be an aristocrat. You don't have to be a stuffy Harvard 10-cent wordsmith. You don't have to be a Greek philosopher. You don't need to be Euripides. You don't need to be Socrates. You don't need to be Voltaire. You don't need to be Shakespeare. You don't need to be Thoreau. You don't have to be Tennyson. But if you want to change people's minds, they have to like you. Now, I am very well aware that I sometimes come off as an arrogant dick and people don't like me and I don't care. And that's usually because those people are really beyond help. But most people will tell you that there are times where I've come down on viewers, but it makes sense and they still watch because we have those little bumping of heads, but there's love behind it. And sometimes it doesn't work. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the most affable person.
But this guy, if herpes was a person, this guy would be it. And I want to apologize for the language, but this is really important because this is the level of communication that these people have. And this is why students are going to protest ICE. They don't know why they're protesting ICE. They're just going to do it because they're told that ICE is bad. This is the indoctrination of kids. And it's because stuff like this is on the internet, and these people believe because this guy's loud and he curses that he must be right. And honestly, I kind of wish that we would have had a dyslexic Renee Good situation here. And maybe the ICE officers just would have run him over and solved the problem, because this guy is like nails on a chalkboard. Listen to this. It is loud. It is annoying. But this is the communication level that most of these protesters, and once again, it's another white liberal. Go figure. Here it is.
Look at these fucking traitors. What the fuck is wrong with you? How do you fucking sleep at night, you Nazi piece of shit? How can you as a black man turn on the people like this? What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with every one of you Nazi fucking pieces of shit destroying this fucking nation? Shame on you, you fucking Nazi traitor! Shame on you! You're fucking laughing, you fat piece of shit! Fuck you, you fucking Nazi assholes! Fuck you for your betrayal of this fucking country, you traitorous little bitch fucking Nazi! Fuck you, you Nazi piece of shit!
Those ICE agents are just laughing and going, whatever.
Shame on you, you fucking traitorous bitch! Fuck you, Nazis! Fuck you, you fucking traitorous little fucking bitches! Fuck you, Nazis! Oh,
yeah,
man,
yeah.
look at these.
Well said there, dude. He's very well spoken.
There was a time when I told you guys that veterans' lives matter, and they do. And we lose 22 veterans a day, and it's too many. But not all veterans' lives are precious lives. And there are some veterans who basically are past the point of no return. And yes, he may have seen some things that were horrible and done some things that were horrible. But trust me, this guy was a complete dick before he saw the things that he saw. And most people in his unit probably wanted to like give him a blanket party multiple occasions. These behaviors are usually psychosis related. They happened at a very young age, and he experienced some sort of trauma that turned him into this guy. The fact that these ICE agents laugh and can just blow it off, this is why I would never be able to work in ICE. Because although I don't think shooting Renee Good was absolutely, there was no other choice. I think shooting him probably was the only choice available. Like I
Or run him over.
I don't think I could have listened to that guy. Like I just definitely Indiana Jones against the scimitar wielding guy. In fact, I was listening. He just makes my skin crawl. People like that are just like, they're not tough. They're not strong. And one shot right in the face, just literally just drilling him right in the nose, and he would crumple like a frickin' piece of paper and then sue and scream and beg for the police to come and save him.
I think Jeff's got the comment of the night. Who would he call if an illegal alien assaulted him? Antifa?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Jeez. Exactly.
Yeah.
They're all tough and full of whatever until something happens to them, and they need an officer now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just guys like that. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for tonight. I'm glad we got the 2 jackets. We will be doing another jacket.
Friday.
Yeah, Friday. We're gonna do it Friday. Wait, next Friday. Let's just do it the end of the. Oh, yeah, next Friday.
It's either.
It's okay. Next Friday.
Yeah.
We'll do it Friday. Friday, we're gonna do another jacket giveaway. I want to thank everybody. Congratulations to our winners. That was Maureen Flood and Jeff Oliphant won the jacket. We'll have those out in the next few days, and wanted to say thank you. We'll have a great show. Remember, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock with Dan Nunn tomorrow on Rumble. I'm going to be running his show on Tuesdays, and then I'll be back on with myself and Leroy at 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock. It'll be a long night. We could use some love, use your help, and we'll see you guys then. God bless, and it's awesome that we had so many people watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.